fourth. Paula Joel, 2 shots.
Yeah, they're in a penalty situation. Instead of 1-1, it's 2 shots. It's a tie ball game. Of course, Blue's going to get the last shot.
Yeah, they've got 9.8 seconds to.
That's plenty of time to get a good shot off.
Timeout, East Clinton.
All right, this is Rick Phillips with GTVR, and we've got a celebrity here from our Columbus affiliate, riding the wave with Dave. This is Dave. Dave, say a little bit.
Yeah, hey, anybody that's tuning in from the Facebook post tonight, looks like it's going to be a hell of a good ball game. This reserve game's been a hell of a game. 43-42 with 9.8 seconds to go. Visitors got one last shot to pull this thing out, Rick. It's been a lot of fun.
East Clinton's got 43 points, and Adena, which is the guest team, 42. They're going to have probably the last shot with that 9.8 seconds.
I'll tell you what, it's been a lot of fun to watch this ball game tonight. There's a lot of young talent out here, isn't there?
A lot of young talent. Very good talent for, when you consider East Clinton not being any bigger a school than what it is.
Yeah. Okay, another time out here. Now, what's the lookout for the high school game tonight? What's the records of these teams coming into the ball game tonight? You got any idea?
I have no idea.
But that's okay. What's Rick says?
Broadcast crew.
Yeah. But then you go ahead and hand the mic over to him, and he probably has some kind of idea. But it's going to be exciting no matter what, right? And there's actually halftime fun too. You're interviewing the cheerleaders, right?
Well, I'm not. Probably Leo want to do that.
Oh, Lee will? Okay.
I don't get all the good jobs.
All right, here we go.
Anyway, we've got, I guess you could say, bonus coverage of the junior varsity team here, and
now, that doesn't look like it's showing a live picture. Is that just because they're standing still?
No, that actually, here's the live picture here, Dave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So anyway, they're going to be breaking from the timeout with 9.8 seconds. And Adena is going to they're going to go full court in 9.8 seconds, which is plenty of time, Dave, right? Yeah, here they go. Adena's looking for that last shot. Driving in and makes the and it's been recovered by East Clinton, and the foul is on Adena.
Well, he had a hell of a good look, too. He just took it right to the hole. He just missed the bank.
Yep.
Running bank shot.
Well,
that may seal the deal, Rick. They get 2 free throws, and there's only 1.9 seconds to go.
Yeah, I think it's going to be just they'd have to turn around and shoot it, Dave.
Yeah.
Ball 2 throws.
And stay tuned because we've got the actual varsity game tonight. The varsity game will be following shortly after the junior varsity game.
Yep.
But we have this junior varsity game sort of starting in our pregame broadcast.
Now, is that showing the volume being kind of high because it's shooting straight on up?
No, the volume's fine.
Or is that the pitch?
Yeah, no, Lee, who do we have tonight as far as our pregame interview?
Our pregame interview, we will have Coach Scott Strieber from East Clinton on with us, and he will also likely be on tomorrow evening at the East Clinton Sports Show at Charlie's Place, along with Steve Gerber and 3 of the co-captains on the Lady Astros basketball team.
Now, Lee, I know the question that really everybody cares about. The most important thing is who is going to take the Astro Burger Challenge and pit their skills against your skills. Now, you are defending the losing person from the last show.
I'm what they call in the loser's bracket. And Mr. Yankey will not be there tomorrow night, so I have to find somebody else to challenge. It might even be Steve Sadini, who will be co-host tomorrow night. So as long as it's not Jim Marsh or somebody like that, we might be all right.
Now, do they supply there at Charlie's the Pepto-Bismol if you got a little bit of indigestion?
Yeah, but you better come with an empty stomach because otherwise you ain't going to make it.
Well, Jeremy, you were the one that won last week, and of course you don't have to, by winning, you don't have to defend your title. Now, how did you manage to do this? How did you manage to win?
Well, I don't know. I love to eat, but I think the one thing is I just kept an eye on Lee and his progress, and I just tried to stay one bite ahead of him. I just didn't want to go down to defeat. That's my competitive nature.
Well, I'm sure that Lee will try to defend his losing title tomorrow night, and that, of course, starts at 7 o'clock, and that'll be from Charlie's Place in Sabine, Ohio.
Yeah. Well, there's Principal Matt Nick.
I guess we've got the final. The final on the JV game was East Clinton 45 and Adena 42. And we're going to be starting our pregame show as far as the regular broadcast. Got a cable challenge here.
Roger that. Are the Astros prepared for takeoff? That's affirmative, mission control. Captain Streamer, Floyd, Huff, and the rest of the crew are clear to launch. Roger. Beginning countdown at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another fabulous broadcast here at East Clinton High School. New entrance for the Astros this evening, put together by Jason Bassford and our multimedia productions crew. Jeremy, what'd you think of it?
Quite an entrance. I haven't seen anything like that since I was fortunate enough to go to the United Center in 1997 and watch Michael Jordan come out onto the floor. And I guess this has to rate second to that because I've yet to see anything as exciting as that in my life. The chance to see Jordan come out, how the Bulls used to do that. And
it was a little Bull-esque then?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
But no, that was quite impressive. And like I said, I've done a lot of high school basketball games through my years of officiating, and that definitely has to be the best intro.
That was neat.
Coming out. Yeah, it was cool.
That was neat.
Very
now,
good.
Let's talk a little bit about the teams. What do you think we got on tap for tonight? I'm going to go out on a limb, having not seen Adena, but hearing a lot of the scouting report and knowing some of the common opponents. I see an evenly matched group here. I see, both teams, nothing extraordinary in height. As far as win and loss, there's a little bit of difference there, but it looks like it's going to be a tough game to the very end.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Adena. I'm trying to learn as I got here this evening. I take a look at their roster, and their roster looks on paper. You always hear that cliche, games, on paper they look evenly matched. Games aren't played on paper, of course, but, both teams size-wise look about the same. They both have two seniors on their roster. East Clinton's 6-7 overall with a 1-6 SCOL record, so they've had a lot of success out of the conference, which that's what this is, a non-league game matching up against Adena, an SVC opponent. It could be a very good game tonight. It's a chance for East Clinton to get back in that win column, even their record overall for the season, and hopefully help them pick up some more league wins as they move forward.
Now, going into tonight's game, like you said, 7-7 looks a whole lot better than 6-7. Having talked to Coach Strieber numerous times through the year already, what is a realistic finish that he's looking for the Astros to do and then head into the tournament?
Well, I think, just be competitive, and which they are doing. They're winning games, they're losing games. Most of the games that they're losing are not by a lot. They've been competitive in most games. Just coming off last week's loss at Washington Courthouse, they lost by 17. It was a 2-point game at halftime, 30-28, and that's the best team in the SCOL on the road. So they can compete with anyone that they've played to this point. It's just a matter of, maturing because, when you have a roster with only two seniors and one true leader in Dalton Floyd, that's the starter, the only senior starter, you are a young basketball team. Yeah. Young basketball teams progress slowly. So, I think he has to be not ecstatic with where they're at, but pleased with the progress that they've made. So, it all comes down to that March run. How deep can they go in the tournament? What's their draw look like? I think they'll be ready to go. They just got to keep progressing.
And this has the potential of being one of those peak at the right time seasons. You know, we talk about that in the collegiate level and in the professional level. You want to peak at the right time, and this does lay out to be a perfect scenario. Are they going to peak at the right time? You know, SCOL, whether people know the league very well, especially those listening and watching the broadcast in other areas of the country, we've even had people watching across the world. We've had people log in from India and other places like that, but this league is a tough league. It's not. It doesn't have a lot of huge names. You know, Wilmington and Chillicothe and Clinton Massie have a little bit of a name for their football prowess, but there's not a lot of huge names, and there's not a lot of huge schools, but it's a tough league. If you come out of this league with at this point we have a 1-6 SCOL record, if we can, you know, try to get that a little more even back up, maybe come out of the league with a 3-7 or maybe a 4-8 or a 4-6, you know, does that give us a better opportunity to go into that run into the postseason? I believe it does, because if you take up those opponents and you spread them over an entire, let's say, Southwest Division or regional championship, you're not going to see a lot of those type teams until you get a little bit deeper into the second and third round.
No, I agree with you, Matt. You know, the SCOL has definitely had history. You know, Greenfield is a school that through the 80s and 90s and early 2000s was just phenomenal. You know, you talk about Dante Jackson, and they've been to the state semifinals. Chillicothe, which is a new SCOL team, just 4 or 5 years ago was state champions in Division II, have sent guys into the D1 ranks. You know, Hillsborough always has athletes. Clinton Massey's very good athletically across the board. So there are, you know, very tough opponents in this league when it comes to the hardwood in basketball. I think East Clinton being the smaller school and still competing come tournament time, if that draw is good, this is a team that can, you know, maybe press for a district championship, you know, certainly win sectionals and get the district, win 2 or 3 or 4 games. It would be quite a run for this young basketball team if they're able to do that. But I like you said, I think it all starts tonight. It's that progression carrying forward as we get towards the second half of the season.
And let's talk with some of our viewers, and I'll be honest, although having played basketball and coaching basketball now at the high school level, can you explain, because you have a lot of experience in refereeing, what the whole process is once they're into that Southwest draw? I had a parent ask me the other day, are we able to actually go over to the Southeast draw? Do you have to play in that region that your league is located in or your school is located in? And then how are the draws kind of decided? How are rankings decided? And then, you know, in what order are people drawn? Do you know any of that information to help our viewers understand what could happen to the Astros in the postseason?
Well, it is predetermined at the beginning of the year by the Ohio High School Athletic Association what sectional you'll be in, or, you know, region, you know, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, any of those things are predetermined. You know, and you're matched up with schools according to size-wise, and there are 4 divisions in basketball. So when East Clinton does go to that Southwest draw, all the coaches will be there and be present. And then I believe they all have a vote. You know, they'll seed each other. So, you know, of course, your higher seeded teams are your better teams, better records. Now, they come from different conferences. So, you know, East Clinton may be at the end of the year, let's say 11-11, right around that 500 mark. Oh, they may draw someone that might be, you know, 16-6 that played in a much weaker conference. They could be very evenly matched, or vice versa. You know, they might get someone that's only won 6 games, but, you know, played in the Dayton Public League and has played a phenomenal schedule all year. So come tournament time, records, really, I don't think records really matter as much. It's only getting you seeded. But after that, you know, it's time to show up and play, and whoever plays best is going to win those games, of course. So that's why I think the conference that East Clinton plays in, the SCOL, playing against these schools that are bigger, come tournament time, it's going to get them tournament ready. I don't care who you're drawing. It's going to get them tournament ready.
Okay, we're going to bring Scott Strieber in, head coach of the East Clinton Astros. Jeremy's setting up right now. While he's getting set up, we just want to make sure that you know tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Charlie's Place in Sabina. Make sure you visit Charlie's Place for all your pizza needs.
Coach Strieber, good luck tonight. Give us a little scouting report on Adena. What do we know about them?
Well, not a whole lot yet. We know they're young. They start a freshman, a couple sophomores, a junior and a senior. They're really young. They get up and down the floor well, score a lot of points. They scored 81 on Greenfield this year, so that kind of tells you they can get up and down the floor. Obviously shot well that game. They've struggled in a couple games, though, again, I think because of their youth. So key to the game, it should be a fun game to watch. We're going to try to get them up and down the floor as well, do some pressing, see what we can do. Hopefully we shoot well. Hopefully the effort's there. We've had a little layoff of these cold winter days and not being able to play, but should be pretty entertaining, I think, to be able to watch this one tonight. So.
Well, that's what Matt and I were saying. We were looking over the rosters, and we said on paper these two teams look almost identical. You both have two seniors. You're not, neither team's real big.
Yeah.
So, it should be a great, fun game tonight.
Yeah.
What do you think about, getting a win tonight and getting you to that 500 mark? Out of league, you guys have been successful. In league, you haven't. It's a non-league game, so keeping that trend going and just creating that enthusiasm and making practices easier and trying to get a spring forward into the league. I mean, I think that's crucial tonight.
It is, and we talked about that. We try not to get to the records too much, but we know it, and everybody knows it. The effort's been there. The courthouse game, they beat us, by 17, but the game was close right into the fourth quarter. The kids' effort was there. That's what we got to bring. And if we can put 4 quarters of effort together, we're pretty dangerous with everybody. And but hopefully, we got a big stretch this week and then next, and a couple more weeks and this thing's wound down. Time for a tournament, so we need a little bit of momentum going into it. The guys know that. They've been kind of stepping up to some challenges. We'll see what we got. Hopefully, like I said, be entertaining tonight. So
that's definitely what Matt and I said. But good luck to you tonight. Go get them, Coach. Have fun.
Appreciate you guys being there. Thank you.
We appreciate Coach Strieber stopping by for us, just giving us a little time before the game. I know he's excited. He's thinking about what's going to go on here, how his team's going to play, but it's awful nice for him to give the fans a little understanding of what the philosophy is for tonight and then the season philosophy as well. Astros are warming up. Adena has already exited the court, getting ready to come back out at the probably 4 or 5 minute mark. Astros tonight, it's a weekday. Sometimes you get a little bit of a different team in the weekday compared to the weekend. Crowd's not bad, especially for a team that's quite a bit of ways from here. From what I'm understanding, Chillicothe is even closer than what Adena is or thereabouts. From what I understand, Adena is a little north of there. But, we got a decent crowd here tonight. It is a weekday. We've had a lot of hecticness with the snow. I'm just a little concerned of the Astros coming out flat.
Well, and Scott had said that as well. Coach Strieber did. He thought that layoff, you never know how your kids are going to react. And the same could be true for Adena. I don't know I'm sure they've missed school just like we have. Everybody has. But you never know how these 16, 17-year-old young men are going to react by not being able to get in the gym and have regular practice and stay on that regular schedule. But he said, they're getting ready to face the next couple weeks some really tough league opponents and wind this thing down. And it's important just to stay on top of it and keep that momentum going as tournament time comes around.
Well, as Adena enters the court again, the Astros are going to exit actually and take a minute to finish up their game plan, talk about what the expectations are in the game. I'm sure Coach Strieber is going to give them one last little speech here before we come out. Looks like we're also going to be having the cheerleaders greet the Adena fans as well. But this evening, what I'm looking for personally is it's got to be a fast start. And I know a lot of people say that, but I think just like it was at Washington Courthouse, for those that weren't at Washington Courthouse, didn't get to see that game, the fact is they came out, they started playing with Washington Courthouse right from the beginning, went 11-2 before the lights came on for Washington Courthouse. If they start out like that, to me, like any other team, they just get buy-in immediately. Not only the players, but I think the coaches turn it up just a little bit. They're a little more intense. They're just feeling it right from the beginning. The concern is for them to come out as they did a couple times earlier in the season. If they miss their first couple shots, I know McLean is a good example. I was at that game, and having missed their first couple shots, it just seems like they went in a shell for about that first quarter. So we need them to come out. We need to come out strong and quick.
Yeah, Coach Strieber said the same thing, Matt. If they could just put together a full 4 quarters of that intensity. He said they have intensity at various times during games, but they just can't seem to keep it together as a unit for 4 quarters. And he feels if they can get to that point, they can be a dangerous team come March.
And that's something you and I have mentioned numerous times, and I know that was a big point for you the last time, is not only putting together a game, but playing for 4 quarters as a team. We have some success individually sometimes, but can we get those 4 quarters together as a complete, cohesive unit? If we do that, as you said, not only this team, but in the tournament time, we should be looking pretty strong. As the viewers can see, our Adena cheerleaders are greeting us here. We'll let them take over the camera for just a moment.
Hey, James. Can I see your scorebook for a second? Okay. I thought. No, I didn't. Hey, James.
All right, we appreciate the Adena cheerleaders coming out and greeting us. This evening as the Astros return to the court,
Hey, James.
Adena's a unique opponent, not having a ton of people that they've played that Astros have also played, but they have played Greenfield McLean. Adena did come out on top of that one, but it went into 4 overtimes. So something that might kind of play a role into the game later on as Adena starts warming up here, working on what looks like a zone defense. I'm sure the Astros are prepared for that, have that in mind. But, we're looking for the Astros to come out, as we said, not worrying about those first couple shots in case they don't go down. We're going to have the introduction of cheerleaders here for just a moment.
For the Warriors, Taylor Best, Chelsea Gollison, Ellen Huberman, Bethany Bedford, Cassie Ennis, Mackenzie Roddy, Kaylee Brown, Kayla Yo, Jenna Hammond, and Brittany Johnson. The varsity Astro cheerleaders are Katie Osborne, Kristen Bogan, Erica Carver,
Thank you, buddy.
Maggie Bierman.
So we're looking for the starters. Jeremy, do you have the starters for this evening's game?
Yeah, I do. First up, we'll go with the visiting Adena Warriors. Starting for them will be Corey Collin, a 5'11" sophomore. We also have number 3, Jonathan Thomas. He's a 6'" sophomore. We have number 4, Hunter Miller, a 6'1" junior. Number 5 is Ethan Shepard. He's a senior. He's 6'1". And also starting for the Warriors is number 34, Wyatt Shanton. He's a 6'2" freshman. And for East Clinton Astros, starting lineup tonight, we have Dalton Floyd, 6'2" senior. We also have the other senior in the lineup for the East Clinton tonight, starting the game, Jarrett Huff. We also have Clyde Snow, a junior, starting. The sophomore, Johnny Blair, along with Levi Lettrell starting for East Clinton.
So pretty similar lineup that we've seen from the Astros. Just looking up a little information here, Adena seems to be right between kind of north and east of Greenfield and north and west of Chillicothe. So I'm sure that Greenfield game is seen as a little bit of a rivalry. I'm sure it was heated, going into 4 overtimes. Don't know if that necessarily took anything out of Adena. I don't know how recent that game was, but it'd be interesting to see how they match up against the Astros, knowing that the Astros struggled a little bit with Greenfield's size, especially their size underneath. Seems like we're a little more evenly matched size-wise here this evening, but it's just something that we want to keep an eye on later, especially in the end of the broadcast, if those even matches are going to end up being a little more of a conditioning issue, or is it that somebody's going to step up from underneath in the post and maybe give us a few points in the paint, which we haven't seen a lot of, especially lately. It seems like, I don't know about you, Jeremy, but a lot of the shots are coming from outside that 12-foot line. It almost seems like, especially late in the game, the Astros are rushing shots, concerned about either being down or when they're getting real close, worried about just closing that gap to where it's tied.
Yeah, that's something that, they definitely have some kids that can shoot outside from the perimeter, but, you can't be one-dimensional. You can live or die by the 3 is an old expression, and it's so true. You got to be able to shoot from the outside when you're open, but you got to be able to feed it down low, too, to let some of those guys like Johnny Blair or Dalton Floyd take it to the glass, draw fouls, and just not be so predictable, I guess. But one thing that Coach Strieber did say is that Adena is a team that likes to run. He said, hey, we'll run with them tonight. We'll get it up and down the court. So it should be a fun game to watch, a fast, up-tempo game. Both teams willing to run, so I assume both teams will be willing to go to that bench as well.
You know what's interesting is, I look at this team and kind of where they are going to go in the next couple of years. Coach Strieber's made no bones about it that he wants to be a running team, that he wants to be a, up and down transition type of basketball team. I don't know if that's the makeup of this team just yet. Maybe as the year goes on, they're going to continue to transition into that fully. But what do you think over the next couple of years? I mean, it seems like that we could be set up for a good run if they want to have that type of mentality. We're going to take just a break and honor the United States by having the Star Spangled Banner.
We ask gentlemen to remove your hats and stand for the playing of our national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner.
As we stated, we're starting to lose a little bit of height with Dalton Floyd going into next year, and Levi Luttrell. So next year, if we're going to be a running team, it seems like the makeup would be even more conducive to the lineup that we're going to have next year. This might almost be a trial year to try transition basketball and see what we need to change about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's definitely not a lot of size on this East Clinton team. But there are a lot of athletes, and as a coach, you try to always play to what your athletes can do. Don't force them to be something that they're not. So I think with Coach Strieber's mindset is with this team that he has now, and obviously only 2 seniors, you're going to be able to see the future quite well. It seems like a good idea to me, and at times we see them run the ball really well. So and this is going to be a good test for them tonight. They're going to play another team that's similar to them, and they like to run as well. So we're going to see who's going to be able to run it better tonight.
Talking to a few of the fans just over the last couple of games, I'm not sure that Coach Strieber has maybe committed to that transition basketball fully yet, and that's no fault and that's no knock on him. It's just to say that I think he's still feeling out. Believe it or not, this late in the season, you're still looking at lineups. You're still seeing who goes best with who and who plays better with whom. And by doing that, I think you're going to get perfect for the tournament. It's better to try it now and work out a few things and worry about those things even later in the season.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. Trying to get that chemistry, those correct 5 guys out there for that right situation is so important, and that's what good coaches do. They can spot that, because what might be your best lineup on one night may not be your best lineup on the next night.
True.
Just because of not only who you're playing, but some nights some kids are more into it than others. Someone's shooting the ball a little better than someone another night. So that chemistry can change from night to night.
I heard on the way here, actually, I was listening to the John Calipari show, and I heard that comment said by Coach Calipari, which my wife would be very proud of me by throwing his name in there. It is different nights, and different lineups work on different nights. So this lineup right here, let's say they go out and they score 80 points and everybody's just the perfect chemistry, the very same group of people the very next night, something might not be right. And we have to learn as a team, when is it correct to know I'm the guy that's going to be the shooter tonight, I'm going to be the guy to rebounder. Kentucky says, Coach Calipari says that they are working on finding when somebody's going a little low, who can come up a little high for them. So I think we're in that same spot.
Yep. And getting it started right away. It was a 3-pointer from Colin Corey for Adena. The Warriors up quick and early, 3-point lead over East Clinton. East Clinton's first possession here.
Jared Huff puts the ball up on a rebound. Dalton Floor tips it back to himself, working up, but he's going to be called for being out of bounds, which is a turnover for the Astros. Like you said, coming right off the gate there, three-pointer by, looked like number 3.
Number 1.
Number 1?
Colin Corey, yep.
Colin Corey.
The 5'11" sophomore getting things started for us this evening. And Matt, as you said earlier, your wife would be happy to throw out Coach Calipari's name. Let me just make mention of these officials here real quick. We got Rodney Captain, Christopher Dodd, and Phil Loudon, all former students of mine. When they came in and got their officiating license, I was teaching the class. So
awesome.
It's kind of neat for me to see my few guys that I got to help along the way.
Yes, proteges, if you will.
I guess. Let's hope they have a good game tonight.
Yeah. Caleb Kaplinger matching the Adena Warriors with a three-pointer from the far corner. Cap has been able to do that all year. It just seems like three-pointers are his thing. That's what he likes to shoot. That's where he's comfortable. He'll still bang on the boards, don't get me wrong, but he loves those three-point shots.
Yeah, it just goes to show that Clyde Snow's not the only one on his team that can throw up those threes. They got a few other guys that can step out there from that three-point line and knock them down.
White and Shanton for the Adena Warriors. Ball's brought down the court by Clyde Snow, then to Levi Luttrell over to Jared Huff. Looks like a trap coming in. Right underneath to Clyde Snow. Missed a window there to get the ball into Dalton Floyd. Caleb Kaplinger for another three. Putting us up quickly, 6-5. Astros by 1. I will say this, a little bit unique look. We're seeing a little more than half-court pressure on the ball, which, for the most part in the year, the Astros haven't put a lot of full-court or three-quarter court pressure on. So we'll see if that benefits them this evening.
We'll definitely see a lot of threes each side. I think both possessions now for each team, everyone's put up at least one three-point attempt.
There's a tap to Jared Huff. He's also going to shoot from way outside. Levi Luttrell gets the rebound, goes up strong, goes off the front of the rim. He's going to immediately put defense on number 5, which is Ethan Shepard. Ethan Shepard passes it to number 3, Jonathan Thomas. Thomas brings down the court and then brings it back out to Hunter Miller. Hunter Miller back to Thomas. Thomas drives, to Colin Corey. Looks like that a player control foul is going to be called on number 1. Again, Colin Corey with the player control foul. Ball's turned over to the Astros.
Yeah, good defense there that time by Levi Luttrell. He's seen the guy trying to drive the lane, took away his ability to get to the hoop, and picked up a nice player control foul.
Jeremy, I think
good call there, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, you talked about this last time. I really think the fans, if they didn't get to hear it, missed a great explanation. Talk for just a second about player control fouls, and it's not about the feet.
No, it's not about the feet. It's just about the position on the floor, which, of course, your feet are on the floor. But the defender is entitled to any spot in the gym from the floor to the ceiling. He can be up off the ground. He can be on the ground. That's what I was going to say right there's a travel. I was hoping they were going to call that right. But it's not about so many people have this misconception. Well, he wasn't set. His feet weren't set. That doesn't matter as long as you are in a legal guarding position.
Now,
you can pick up a player control foul. You can be moving side to side, backwards, whatever. It's just whoever gets to that spot first.
And you had talked about having kind of mentored or been at the school to show these officials. Is that hard for officials to understand sometimes as well?
Well, it's definitely the hardest call, I think, in all of sports. I mean, because it happens so fast. And, with the basketball officiating, you don't have time. Like, in football, you can go over and meet with another guy and say, oh, what'd you see? You can do that sometime, but it's something you can't make a common practice when you're officiating basketball. You've got to be bang, bang. You've got to be putting the ball in play, getting it up court, because that's the tempo of the game. That's what the fans and coaches expect to see. You can't be indecisive. And that's one thing I always told young officials when they were coming through my class. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're a little bit hesitant at all, just sell it. Just go with it. Just, hey, act like you know what you made the call.
I couldn't agree more. Even at the young age my son is at, it bothers me when you hear a timid call. Even if you're wrong and even if I'm upset, make it with some gumption, make it with some gusto. Not that I'll even believe you more, but at least I'm going to have more respect that you're, buying your own Kool-Aid there, if you will.
Exactly.
Wyatt Floyd tries to go with the block, and ball's put up and scored by Wyatt Shanton. More full court pressure being applied by Adena. Ball's kicked out wide to Cole Floyd, and a two-point shot gives the Astros a 12-7 lead. Number 4 brings up the court Hunter Miller for the Adena Warriors. He's picked up at center court by Cole Floyd. Pick set, and number 3 drives the lane Jonathan Thomas. Another three-pointer by number 5. That's Ethan Shepard. Full court pressure again applied by the Adena Warriors. It looks like pretty soon I would think Adena's going to have to go to their bench because they are going full court every single possession. Wyatt Floyd with the catch on the rebound and a quick dump in gives him a 14-10 Astro lead.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. I'm impressed with Adena's efforts on both sides of the court. They're putting that full court pressure on. They're moving the ball around, and they're getting a lot of touches, getting a lot of open looks because of their passing game. So
fabulous spacing.
Yes.
I think their spacing is fantastic. I teach to my younger teams that I've coached that spacing is a huge part of it. We're going to get a traveling call on Jared Huff. He did get the rebound, but couldn't get his feet under control as he brought the ball down.
Yeah, I agree with you. Spacing is so important, and that's a sign of a well-coached team. Both these teams look like they're doing a great job of moving the ball around a lot. Adena's definitely moving it well, and I think that's something that I know the Scioto Valley Conference very well. It's a very good basketball conference. There's some great teams in that conference.
Now, help us out and the players, or help the fans out, I should say. Who is in the Scioto Valley Conference?
Well, it's mainly a Ross County league, all Chillicothe area teams, with the exception of Piketon. But if I can remember them all here real quickly, you got Piketon, you got Adena, Zane Trace, Paint Valley, Unyota. Who am I forgetting? I've refed at every school in that conference too. Southeastern, Richmond-Dale Southeastern, very good basketball program there as well. It's all about the hardwood. They got some good football down there as well, but great basketball conference, great fan support. I never went to a gym, and I got to officiate in that conference for probably about 12 years. I never went to a gym on a Friday or Saturday night that wasn't full.
Packed.
It didn't matter who was playing. Right. It didn't matter what the records were, whatever. It was just great rivalries because all those schools in that conference are so close in proximity. Yeah. They're all short bus trips away and very competitive.
It's where the town shuts down and everybody goes to the basketball game. Looks like Adena streaking up the floor here, number 4. Looks like a blocking foul is going to be called on Caleb Kaplinger. Number 3, driving the ball, Jonathan Thomas towards the hoop. It looks like they're going to get 2 shots on that.
Yeah, it looked like Caleb just stepped in there just a little bit late and got a little bump on the body there as Thomas was driving the lane. We're going to have a couple guys checking in here, too, after this free throw. Number 23 for East Clinton is Johnny Blair, and number 40, Isaac Thomas for the Warriors.
I'll be honest with you, this is something just for my own personal curiosity I've wanted to see. Clyde Snow, which is he's always running the point. Johnny Blair will take the point over if he needs to from him or at, particular times. Looks like Johnny's going to run it from now on. Let's see if there's just a little bit of a change in the demeanor of the team with Johnny Blair, a sophomore, a little bit less dribbling, a little bit less of three-point shots, a little give and go. 2-point basket by Johnny Blair, and he turns it into a little bit of full court pressure here by Cole Floyd.
Yeah, nice give and go there by Blair. He kicked out on the wing and then drove the lane and was able to get the ball laid up off the glass. Nice play by the young sophomore.
Johnny Blair tries to put a block on number 3, Jonathan Thomas. Ball goes out of bounds after a 3-point attempt.
East Clinton with a 16-14 lead. 1 minute, 45 seconds to go here in the first quarter.
Seems like it's been a fast quarter already.
It has.
1:44 and counting down here. Johnny Blair brings the ball up the court. Number 23 for the Astros. Looks like he's setting up a play. Coach Strieber calls out Astro, bringing Dalton Floyd up to the wing. Then Caleb Kaplinger puts a 3-point shot up and scores again. That's going to be 3 for Caleb Kaplinger to start the first quarter. 19-14 Astros.
Yeah, that was a nice setup there. I thought he might have rushed a little bit, but he was able to get his feet set underneath him and take a nice shot. He's got a very nice, sweet, soft shot. When he arches that ball, it just seems like it's floating in air, but he's knocked down 3 of them so far here in this first quarter, so well on his way to having a big night.
I couldn't agree more with the soft shot. I couldn't agree more with that he looked like he rushed that one a little bit, but it still went down for him. Dalton Floyd goes for the 2-point. But ball's kicked back out to number 1. Colin Corey. Dalton Floyd gets position. It looks like it's going to be an overtop foul. Number 40, Isaac Thomas for the Adena Warriors.
Yeah, it looked like when Corey got that ball there, someone missed an assignment. Someone left him wide open. And, fortunately for East Clinton, the ball didn't fall through the hoop. But
it looks like the coach was getting a little on his team about just one to shoot three-point baskets. Cole Floyd gets blocked by number 34, Shanton, and leads to a transition basket by Jonathan Thomas. Astros slow the ball down just a little bit, bringing it up to Dalton Floyd. He throws it up and gets a foul called by number 20, or on number 20, Dalton Floyd.
That foul is on number 34, Wyatt Shanton for the Warriors.
For the Adena Warriors, Jason Smith is their head coach, it looks like. How's Dalton doing at the foul line there?
For the year, Dalton is 65% from the free throw line.
He puts the first one down, giving the Astros a 20-16 lead.
Stepping into the game for the Warriors is number 21, Christian Hooks, a 6'4" sophomore. Checking back into the game for the Astros, coming in for Caleb Kaplinger is Levi Lettrell. East Clinton coming out in that full court press again.
This looks like more of a trapping press. Looks like they're wanting to try to get a quick turnover before the second quarter starts. The ball gets cleared by Adena. Driving to the hoop, number 3 is Thomas. Makes a shot. He's going to put the lead 21-18. Levi Lettrell brings it back to Johnny Blair. Looks like they're dropping off the pressure just a little bit. Single court pressure, single person pressure at midcourt. Johnny Blair runs the play here. Looks like a cut by Dalton Floyd. Cole Floyd around him. Ball's kicked out of bounds by the Adena Warriors. Returned back to the Astros.
2.1 seconds left in this first quarter, so East Clinton's going to have to look quick here, set up some type of play where they can get a quick shot off.
Ball's inbounded to Cole Floyd. He's got to turn around and throw it up. He will get the shot off in time, but it goes off the back of the rim, ending the first quarter with a 3-point lead for the Astros.
You know, Matt, one thing I'm impressed with, we talked about Adena and their ability to move the ball and spacing to floors. They got a lot of different guys who can get in a scoring column. We've seen a lot of all 5 of them or whoever else was on the court taking good shots. You know, they found the open man. They took good shots. Didn't seem like they were rushed. They drove the lane. It looked like a very well-coached basketball team, and I think Coach Strieber has to be pleased as well with his first quarter from his ball club.
Yeah, fundamentally, I think Adena is along the lines of like a Chillicothe or a Washington Courthouse. Seems fundamentally they're really sound, getting the ball out around their wings and then pounding it back in when necessary when they have the opportunity. What concerns me a little bit is how is Coach Strieber going to react to those 3-point buckets? Whenever a team puts 2 or 3 quick ones on you, especially in the first quarter, you start to question your defense. You start to possibly change your philosophy. Will he switch to a 2-3? Will he stay with more of a man look, maybe a matchup zone? We'll see as the second quarter starts here for the Astros.
Yeah, like you said, Coach Strieber has to be concerned about the 3-point shooting ability of the Warriors, and they had all 5 of their starters scored in that quarter. 3 of them knocked down 3-pointers, so they can all shoot the ball pretty well. And, of course, leading all scores with 9 points. Caleb Kaplinger as he knocked down those 3 threes in that first quarter.
Clyde Snow brings the ball up, hand off to Cole Floyd, who then hands off to Johnny Blair, drives the lane, brings the ball back out, and it's going to be to, looks like the ball is going to the Astros. Inbounds play underneath. Levi Lettrell will throw the ball in. Stack set to Dalton Floyd underneath. A quick 2-point score. 23-18 is going to be your score as we start the second quarter.
Nice drive there to the hoop. Dalton found a crease there in the lane, was able to get the ball and just lay it up off the glass.
This might sound odd, but that almost seemed too easy.
It did, because there was a lot of guys in the lane. It's just like I was kind of shocked, like where did he come from? How did he get through there? But sometimes Dalton can make those drives to the lane look easy.
Dalton Floyd with the rebound. Yeah, he's got a little bit of length on him. He's pretty smooth, so sometimes Cole Floyd actually with a nice drive there.
Yeah, the younger brother says, I can do that as well, too.
He says, I'm not going to be hearing about that at the house later on, so I might as well score as well.
No, and if you know those 2 boys, they're quite competitive with one another, only a year apart in age, but, they go at it, and that's really one of the reasons why they're both so good. They both handle the ball well. It's a lot of one-on-one games late at night in that barn.
I bet. Yeah, I've heard some stories about the barn, so I know that there's been some battles, probably some words exchanged, maybe a few elbows at times. It looks like a foul is going to be called on number 3, Jonathan Thomas for the Adena Warriors.
I think he took an elbow there from Dalton Floyd as he drove by him, but he's getting called with the blocking foul. And as we talk about the Floyd brothers, You know, we have a younger one that's in 8th grade.
Yes.
And the younger brother has to be good just to keep up with the older
Yeah,
brothers.
and he's been beat on for so
Right.
many years that he's
And
going to be tough no matter what.
He is going to be tough. He's
Yeah.
going to be one of those guys that as we talk about Coach Strieber wanting to run the ball in the future, he's going to come in here and be able to contribute to this varsity team in the near future.
Yeah.
And
let
his ability.
Let me say something. I'm, of course, my bias is the high school principal. I just saw something there. I don't know if you caught it just for a half second. Dalton Floyd leaned over to number 3. I don't believe there was any malicious intent in that elbow. He leaned over to number 3, said, you okay, man? You good? That's what kind of young men we have here at East Clinton High School. Maybe not the biggest and the strongest guys. We're not going to win any world's strongest competition anytime soon. But we've got good kids, we got good athletes, and we got kids that know right from wrong, and they know that, in the big scheme of life, it's more about being, good to each other than necessarily, pounding each other on the competition floor.
Yeah, and you're right, and that's the type of competitor Dalton Floyd is. He's a very good young man, well-classed. He's not going to do anything maliciously to try to hurt anybody. He's going to try to beat you every time he's got the ball, for sure, because he's very competitive. But, he's a very classy young man as well.
Drive to number 3, Jonathan Thomas. He misses. Rebound by number 34, and that's Wyatt Shanton, and he'll be fouled by Levi Luttrell.
And 10 minutes into this game, Matt, it's exactly as Coach Strieber predicted. We're going to get it up and down the floor. We're going to run. They're going to run. That's what we're seeing. East Clinton with an 8-point lead here, but the way that Adena shoots the ball, moves the ball, an 8-point lead can evaporate just like that.
Very quickly. We saw that even against Hillsborough late in that game. They were up by about 8 points as well, and then all of a sudden they're down by 2. So, we want to make sure that they stay on top. Take good shots. That's the main thing. Keep taking good shots. Don't force shots. This is the type of concern I mentioned earlier is that, when they're up by a few or maybe even down by a few, they start to rush shots. They start to feel like they have to produce something rather than honestly just eating a little clock. Like that shot right there, Dalton Floyd, you don't see him take a lot of three-pointers.
No, you don't. And, he just seen it. There was really no one there to give the ball off to, and they left him open. An easy jumper for Dalton, and he can knock that shot down. So,
again, his length working a little bit to his advantage, full extension, and a nice steal by Dalton Floyd. Brings it up, nice easy 2-point conversion, and there's a timeout by Jason Smith, the head coach of the Adena Warriors. Nice play by Dalton Floyd.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Dalton, doesn't take a whole lot of three-pointers. On the year, he was 3 for 8, shooting 38%. So he's not one that steps it out there too much and takes that jumper, but he definitely has the ability. If you're going to leave me open, I'm going to show you I can shoot it. And, from what Adena's seen so far, 10 minutes into this game, they were probably wanting to back down and take away his driving ability to the lane. So he's a multi-threat. He can step out there and hit that jumper as well.
Now you have to start worrying about what is Jason Smith thinking, the head coach of the Adena Warriors. Am I going to change my defensive philosophy? Seems like a lot of shots, 3 three-pointers by Caleb Kaplinger, another one by Dalton Floyd. Is he going to go more into a compacted 2-3 look, maybe a matchup zone look, as the Astros bring a full court pressure or a matchup pressure here as they bring the ball down the court. The ball's swung out wide and caught by number 4. Good play by number 4, Hunter Miller, to not get an over in the back call.
Yeah, definitely. He's seen that ball was heading in the backcourt, and he came from the backcourt to get all 3 points, we call it, both feet and the ball, to get it into the front court to avoid the turnover there for the Warriors.
3-point shot by Jonathan Thomas. That score is good by Jonathan Thomas. Clyde Snow brings the ball up the court, gets a pick by Dalton Floyd. Johnny Blair brings the ball out to the wing, returns the ball to Clyde Snow. Then that ball is returned to Cole Floyd. Jonathan Blair gives it to Dalton Floyd. Dalton Floyd again is going to go for a 3-point shot. Ball goes off the back of the iron. Cole Floyd goes up nice and strong.
Good effort there by Floyd. It didn't look like he had any option at all getting that rebound, but was able to get in there and mix it up a little.
Basket by Ethan Shepard by the Adena Warriors, and we have a 31-25 lead by the Astros. Number 34, Shanton. What are we looking like on fouls for Shanton there?
That's going to be his second.
Okay.
And Shanton's got 6 points, so they can't afford to get him in foul trouble.
What's interesting about him, he is a 6'2 freshman. I'm almost sure that Adena has a football team. I know some of the teams up there do not, but Looks like a nice-sized kid for a freshman. Now, I would say this is one time where the 6'2" is not a lie. You know how those college or those high school basketball coaches like to extend some of the heights, but he really looks 6'2", and he really looks like he's put together for a freshman.
Right, yeah, definitely. You wouldn't think that young man is a freshman, the way he plays, the way he carries himself, and just how his build is. Definitely very well put together for a freshman. And Adena does have quite a football program. And it's been a non-league opponent for East Clinton in past years. So we're a little bit familiar with them.
Ball gets pushed down low to number 21, Christian Hooks. That ball's returned to number 1, Collie Corn. Number 10, Clyde Snow is going to get called for the blocking foul, or the push foul, I'm sorry, but it looked like number 1 might have had a little bit of player control there.
I have to agree. And like we talked about earlier, it's the hardest call in basketball to make because it's so bang. And Rodney made that call that Clyde had his hands on him, and that could have been first. Maybe Clyde had a little bit of push on him first before the guy drove.
Late.
So, I didn't quite see that, but from what I looked at, it was definitely, I thought it was player control, but we might have missed something here right in front of us.
Ball's turned over by the Adena Warriors back to the Astros. Johnny Blair bringing the ball out on the sideline.
Checking back into the game for Adena is number 4, Hunter Miller.
Clyde Snow gets the ball, brings it into the front court, calls the play. Levi Letcher with the pick underneath. Dalton Floyd comes out underneath and open, but the ball's turned over to number 1, Colin Corey. Looks like he might have tried to push that just a little bit, and the ball comes up short with Johnny Blair pushing the ball up and going over to the Astros. He hit the ball off of an Adena Warrior as he went out of bounds and got the ball turned back over to the Astros.
Checking into the game for the Astros, Jarrett Huff and Caleb Kaplinger. Yeah, I agree with you, Clyde. It may have forced that a little bit, and probably a bounce pass would have been a better option on that play because he definitely had Dalton down there on the baseline open.
33-25 is our score right now.
Yep. Got to agree with that one.
Number 30, it looks like he's going to be called. Now, would that be called a moving pick, or was that just simply a push foul?
A push foul, okay. Illegal screen, moving pick. Whatever. I mean, he did not. That's where you have to. I don't want to say get set, but you got to beat that defender to that spot. If you're going to put a screen on him, you got to be there first, and he didn't. He put a shoulder into him, almost like to block him in football.
Yeah.
You can't do that in basketball.
Yeah. Caleb might have a little experience with that shoulder blocking in football. So
definitely
he let his football mind take over for just a minute. Ball's brought out wide to number 40, then number 4 wide open underneath number 5. Misses the easy jumper. And it looks like we're going to get an over the back call on number 40, and that would be Isaac Thomas by 5'11" sophomore Isaac Thomas, number 40 for the Adena Warriors.
Yeah, it looked like Ethan Shepard had an easy layup there, but he just kind of lost control of the ball and wasn't able to, once he gained control of the ball, 2 East Clinton defenders converged on him and made that shot a little more difficult.
Johnny Blair underneath, looks for the open look, but number 5 blocks it out of bounds. That's Ethan Shepard.
Christian Hooks checking back into the game for the Warriors. Coming out's number 40, Isaac Thomas.
You just see the Adena Warriors as almost 4 or 5 carbon copies of themselves. They're all about the same height, very similar athletic ability. Maybe one guy's got a little size compared to the other, but they look like they're 4 or 5 brothers on the court. It's almost uncanny.
Yeah, it is. You're right. It's like there's a whole bunch of brothers, like you said, out there. And that foul there was Hunter Miller for the Warriors, sending Dalton Floyd to the line. But everyone on Adena's roster looks like they're about 5'10" to 6'2"ish.
Yep.
They're all athletic. They can all handle the ball. They can all shoot. It's a pretty good basketball team here. I'm impressed with their abilities, and East Clinton's playing equally as well tonight.
Reminds me of my coaching days in football. We played Hamilton-Baden. I promise you they had 6 wide receivers, every one of them 6'2", 6'3", long arms that could jump out of the stadium. It's like they brought them off the bench just to tease you a little bit.
Tough to defend, right?
Yeah, well, they made the same guy and copied him 5 more times.
Right. But
number 1 drives a hoop, and that's a nice play by Colin Corey. I'll tell you something, they all can handle the ball, and they are quick on that first step. Yep. Blocking foul called on number 1, Colin Corey. And
I think it was a good call there by Rodney Captain. It seemed like Caleb Caleb was able to get his body around the defender, so therefore, the cause of the collision was the defender's fault. So a good call there. Caleb will be going to the line, shooting 2.
33-27. 33-27, Astros lead. Jared Huff coming over, giving instructions to Levi Luttrell, who's about ready to check into the ball game for the shooter, Caleb Kaplinger. Next dead ball. Ball's almost stolen by Kaplinger as it brings it back over the front court. Swung out wide to number 5. Rebound attempted by Johnny Blair. Dalton Floyd turns around to number 4. Hunter Miller gets the rebound and puts it back in for a quick 2 for the Adena Warriors. Kind of a 1-3-1 look. This is a change in the defensive philosophy. Let's see how the Astros. Jared Huff with in and out rim. Ball's being pushed back up the court by number 3, Jonathan Thomas. Kicks it out to number 1, Colin Corey. Ball's rebounded by Caleb Kaplinger to Johnny Blair. Johnny Blair brings the ball into the front court. Going to pass it off as he brings it into the lane. Passes off to Caleb Kaplinger. The ball's returned to Clyde Snow. Clyde Snow brings the ball back up to the.
Caleb may have got away with another one of those shoulder blocks that we talked about earlier as he dished that ball off.
Ball's tipped as he goes out. Caleb Kaplinger looks like he might have been hurt a little bit on that one. Ball's blocked out of bounds to Caleb Kaplinger by Caleb Kaplinger. The Astros are going to set up their defense with a 33-29 lead with 45 seconds left in the second quarter.
Yeah, I think Kaplinger, like you said, it looked like he might have been hurt a little bit. Either he came down on that when he landed, he came down a little wrong, or the defender may have caused a little contact there.
I think the defender went knee to knee with him.
Yeah, I think so, and he did grimace there for a second, but then was able to regain his composure, come down court, and make a nice block on the defender.
That's kind of the attitude of Kaplinger. He's going to give you 100%. No matter if, looks like a carry there by the Adena Warriors, but it wasn't called. Johnny Blair pushes the ball up the court. He's going to take the ball into the lane. He's going to be called for a charge, player control foul on number 23, Johnny Blair. With 32 seconds left in the second quarter, 33-29, East Clinton Astros lead. So Adena has slowly cut that lead from 8 to 4. 32 seconds left. A little bit of pressure here coming up from the Astros. They'll bring the ball from the backcourt into the front court with right around 25 seconds as the head coach, Jason Smith of Adena Warner, calls out their play. It looks like they're going into a very simple 4-corner dribble drive. It doesn't look like it's very complicated at all. It's one pass off and drive to the lane. Unless we close down that lane, they're going to be able to do that all night. Levi Luttrell kicks it out to Johnny Blair, up and over a defender with 0 seconds left. The ball's, unfortunately, the ball's thrown across the court trying to score at the last second, but it hits one of the East Clinton cheerleaders who's tough just like East Clinton football and basketball players, shakes it off and comes out to midcourt in order to do a raffle drawing there.
Yeah, Caitlin Moore took that shot there, that full court length shot that was way wide of the basket and hit her right in the shoulder. But like you said, tough. I think she's in gymnastics. Those gymnastic girls have to be tough.
Absolutely. She is definitely a gymnast. She's one of our premier tumblers, and if she can go across one end of the court to the other tumbling, she can take that basketball to the shoulder.
Definitely.
So what are we thinking here? We're one half of play in. It's 33-31 Astros. I guess if we're just gonna give a kind of a blunt overview, came out hot, came out quick. Seemed like running out a little bit of gas there towards the end, and Adena actually ratcheted up the intensity just a little bit in that second quarter.
Yeah, I think that Coach Strieber, like he said, it was going to be a game that was fun to watch, and it has been up to this point. It's a game where both teams are going to be able to run. Both teams have done that very well, shot the ball from the perimeter well, drove to the basket well, passed the ball well. Both played good defense as well also. I think Coach Strieber has to be pleased with the first 14 minutes of this half. The last 2 minutes, East Clinton kind of just, like you said, at times, they will lose a little bit of composure, rush some shots, not get good shots, and Adena was able to cut that 8-point lead with about 2 minutes to go down to 2 at the half. So, you know what? I'm impressed with both teams. Both teams are playing good basketball, fun basketball to watch.
And very fundamentally sound. What's interesting is Well, how about that? We had a drawing here. The cheerleaders have sold tickets in order to help finance their trip for a national cheerleading competition. They've been selling a donated car, tickets to a donated car. Wouldn't you know, our head football coach, just won that car. So I'm sure he'll be excited to hear that. In fact, that might be something I need to text him here in the next couple of moments and let him know about his big win there.
Yeah, you better let him know. We'll take a look at this scoring here, Matt. And like I said, I've been impressed with Adena's ball movement and their handling and how they got a lot of different guys that can score. All 5 of their starters are in the scoring column, and they were in the first quarter, but it's such a balanced scoring. If you look at this scoring here, Jonathan Thomas has 8 points in the first half. Ethan Shepard has 7. Wyatt Shanton has 6. And then with 5 points apiece, we have Hunter Miller and Colin Kors. So every starter on the roster has at least 5 points to 8 points. So if they're 31 points, very balanced. All of them handle the ball well. All of them drive to the hoop well. All of them shoot the ball well. So, I'm impressed with this basketball team from Adena.
Like I said, you took one guy, you copied him over 5 times, and you have the Adena basketball team. What's interesting is that we just had our cheerleaders who were speaking in a little bit about their trip coming up to Florida. I think it looks like that. What do you want me to do? Looks like Jeremy might be directed out to speak to the cheerleaders for just a second.
It doesn't matter, I can do it. Interview a few of the cheerleaders about the trip.
Okay, we're going to take a moment and speak to the head coach, Heather Miller, as well as some of the cheerleaders about their upcoming trip to Nationals, which is going to be in Florida. So we'll turn the mic over to Jeremy and Coach Miller.
Get in here, Heather. Tell us about this trip that you guys are getting ready to take here in a week or so.
We are going to Orlando, Florida, to the Disney World ESPN Wide World of Sports, where we will be competing at the National High School Cheerleading Championships. It is a huge opportunity. It's a great honor for our kids. Over 490 teams, 37 states will be represented, and we're the only team from Clinton County. We're the only team from the SCOL, and we're pretty much the only team from this side of the state of Ohio that will be attending this competition.
So it's safe to say that we have one of the most elite cheerleading squads in all of Ohio.
We're pretty close. We're pretty close. But I'm sure Tony here would love to talk a little bit more. He's one of our seniors. He's the only male cheerleader that I know of that East Clinton's ever had. I don't know. Have you ever seen a male cheerleader here?
Not that I know.
Not that you know.
And you know I'm old and I've been around for a while. No, I don't believe so.
You were old.
Yes, you were. I was, for sure.
But this is Tony. He's one of our seniors, and he's first time going to Disney, I do believe. Yep. So I'll let him talk a little bit more about Nationals.
Tell us about this trip that's coming up and being a senior, what it means to you to qualify to go compete nationally.
I'm really excited. I mean, we've been trying to do this for years, even before I was here. And just now for us to finally get it, we're all excited and we can't wait. Being a senior, it's tough, it's sad, but all I need to do is leave my mark, and so far, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, right. You've left a good mark. But like you said, being a senior and going out, what would it mean to you to bring back a national title?
It'd be a great honor to do that for East Clinton and be able to say we're nationally ranked in the nation.
What a thrill. Let me talk to Caitlin Moore. I got a question for you. Not necessarily relating to the Nationals, but we just seen you take a shot down there at the basketball at the end of the quarter. And we said, well, that girl has to be tough down there. I'm like, well, she's a gymnast. She's got to be tough, right?
Yeah.
And I know you wasn't even expecting it because I seen the look on your face.
Yeah, I might be injured for this weekend. It hit me pretty hard.
You better not be injured for this weekend.
Just be tough like your brother.
Yeah, I will do that.
Okay, well, good luck to you guys. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate that time that the cheerleaders gave us. We're also going to meet with the athletic director, Scott Hurt, from the Adena Warriors. We'll turn the mic right back over to Jeremy and the athletic director,
Scott, thanks for taking the time to meet with us tonight. Matt and I have been talking here about Adena, and I officiated basketball for about 16 years, and I worked a lot of SVC games. So bring us up to date on who the top teams are in the league this year in the Scioto Valley Conference.
This year we have Zane Trace Uniota's they've been battling out. We have a big struggle tonight between Piketon and Unyota for first place. Piketon being a game behind and Unyota looking to spread it out a little bit tonight.
Well, and I commented to Matt earlier, I'm very impressed by this basketball team. He said it looks like they're almost a clone of one another. They all handle the ball well, they all shoot the ball well, and I was impressed with their scoring in the first half. All 5 starters in the scoring column. A couple of them got 5 points, 6 points, 7 points, and 8 points. So it's very balanced attack from this team, and it's a very young team.
Yeah, we are very young. We've struggled in the past 4 or 5 years, and Coach Smith's done a good job of getting us back into. We won 5 ball games this year, and we won 4 last year, and that was as many as we won in the previous 3 or 4 combined. So we're looking for better things in the future. We've got a bunch of young kids, and we've got some junior high programs that are doing well. So, in 2 or 3 years, we hope to be back up towards the top of the SVC.
Well, it looks like you guys will be competing here, like you said, up to the top. It looks like, a very fine basketball team. Best of luck to you guys. Welcome to Lee's Creek. Enjoyed having you.
Thank you.
What's the record of East? They're 500 seed, and these guys are a little bit below 500. They've won like 5 games.
I was wondering that myself.
Yeah.
But he's putting 6 and 7, 1 and 6.
Well, it looks like both these teams.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome our teams back up to the court, if I can have your attention for just 1 second to remind you of the game that we're going to have against the Clinton Massey Falcons.
We're at halftime. East Clinton leads Adena 33-31. I'm Rick Phillips, and I'm with Lee Hendy, and of course our broadcast crew here. We welcome everyone. We want to remind you that we are sponsored by Charlie's Place in Sabine, Ohio. Give them a call, order a pizza. They are our sponsors, and they are bringing this game to you, as well as other sport events here on the East Clinton Channel.
That competition cheerleading group we saw here being interviewed, they're also going to perform at halftime their full routine, so you can see there for those who won't be in Florida, which that's the one time I wish they needed an administrator to go down with them. That would be nice. And then also we're going to have a staff pep band. So some of our staff members are going to be up with the band and have a nice activity there. So if you would support us on February 4th against Clinton Massey with our ring of red and our red out, we'll return the action back to our wonderful announcer. Thank you.
All right, Jeremy Yankey back with you here on GTVR. As we get ready to go into the second half, I don't believe I did get an opportunity to give the scoring for the East Clinton Astros in the first half, but of course they have a 33-31 lead here at halftime over Adena as we get ready to start third quarter. Dalton Floyd led all scorers in the first half with 12 points, 9 points for Caleb Kaplinger. Of course, those came on his 3 threes that he made. Cole Floyd with 4 points, and then an abundance of players with 2 points apiece. We got Levi Lettrell, Johnny Blair, Jarrett Huff, and also Clyde Snow with 2 points apiece. So I think it'd be crucial to get Clyde Snow going in that scoring column here as we move into this second half. He's kind of been a little silent tonight. He's averaging nearly 9 points a game. So if he can get a few buckets and get himself going, it would definitely be a big asset to the Astros here as we start the second half, Coach.
And we return to action. Adena bringing the ball to the wing, number 3. Jonathan Thomas returns the ball to number 4, Hunter Miller. I'll be honest with you, again, carbon copies of themselves, but if there's one guy that sticks out a little more than anybody else, number 3, Jonathan Thomas, not only with his scoring ability, blocked by Dalton Foul, but he's going to be called for the body foul. Just seems like number 3 might have an extra little step on everybody else with the speed, that first step towards the hoop, and that's Jonathan Thomas.
Right, I agree with you. He's a 6-foot sophomore, and then, I'm also impressed with Wyatt Shanton, a 6'2" freshman. It's something that the athletic director, Scott Hurt from Adena, talked about. This is a very young basketball team that's won 5 games this year. All of last year, they only won 4. So, it's a program that's on the up and coming into the Scioto Valley Conference, and I'm impressed with them. And as we're tied up here, actually as Adena takes the lead here to start the second. No, I'm sorry, scoreboard's a little messed up. I believe they just tied it. Our score was a little off there on the board. 33-33 as we move on into the third quarter.
Now, being a little bit away from you, I couldn't hear what the athletic director for Adena said. How are they doing in Scioto Valley play?
They're not one of the better teams. He mentioned the best teams, which traditionally is always Zane Trace. He said Unyota also spoke highly of Piketon. And, they're young. This is a team that he thinks can contend in years to come, and as we see these freshmen and a few sophomores really contributing tonight, definitely they can because they're playing very well. Number 34, Wyatt Chanton, steps off the court now. He's coming out as he picked up another foul, but he's a big, aggressive young man that's only going to get bigger and stronger as you move forward. The athletic director also mentioned that they have very good junior high basketball programs as well, 7th and 8th grade teams. So Adena is a team in the next 3 to 4 years that it will probably compete for a Scioto Valley Conference title.
Basket by Dalton Floyd. Jeremy, if we get a break in the action, please remind me to tell you my Chillicothe Zane Trace football story. It's one that might give the fans a chuckle. But back to the action here. Number 3, Jonathan Thomas returns the ball to number 4. With a nice shot fake and drive the lane, a foul's going to be called in the lane on, it looks like, the Astros number 34, which would be Levi Luttrell.
Stepping up to the line for the Warriors is number 4, Hunter Miller.
Miller, 2 shots.
It's going to go 35-34. The lead taken from that tie by a nice shot by Dalton Floyd down here at our end. Uses the glass probably as well as anybody I've ever seen at the high school ranks, and I would say in Division I on down. Just knows angles real well. Knows when to bring the ball up and over and then off the backboard in order to score. He's going to drive the lane again, but he's going to be charged or called with the charge.
Yeah, and I have to agree with that one from Rodney. And Rodney was in good position there as a center official, and Dalton just drove, and the defender had great position.
Now, talking just for a second on the officiating, it was interesting that gentleman made the call. We call him the FAR official. I wonder why the call wasn't made underneath by the basket official.
Well, because Rodney was the center official there, so basically,
even though off to the side.
Yeah,
okay.
And he's got the angle of everyone shooting through the lane. So you have a trail official, you have a lead official, and those are the guys that are on the same side of the court. The lead official underneath the basket, he'll dictate where he wants to move. He can move, if the ball's on this side of the court, he'll move over. If it's on that side of the court, he'll move over there. So the 2 other officials have to adjust. One becomes a trail, one becomes a center. Well, as Dalton drove down the lane, the far baseline or far sideline from us, Rodney was in perfect position there as he was basically right on looking between the offensive player and the defender, so he had a perfect angle.
That's a good explanation. I appreciate that. That helps me out, and I do understand what you're saying now, especially from that angle. He would have had a wide open look at a drive down the lane there, so that makes me understand
where
why
the lead official would have had to been looking through the back of the defender,
right.
and
yeah.
he would have been called what we call straight line. You can't make that call when you're looking through the back of somebody. You have to see the angle between the 2 players, and that's something I always stress to my class, which all 3 of these guys took. Be in position. That makes your calling so much easier. When you can see between the 2 players, you're in the best position.
Right.
So, the players are moving constantly and quickly. You can't stand there and constantly. Yeah, you have to move as they move to always put yourself in the best position.
That's
to
an
make
excellent
the correct
take
call.
on it, and something I've never thought myself, that the officials need to move as the players move. Ball's returned to the top of the key by Dalton Floyd. He's going to drive in, take a nice open shot, pop over. He's going to steal the ball back and then return the ball back to the hoop, missing it. And the foul is going to be called, I believe, on Dalton Floyd over the back, number 20. Dalton Floyd.
Yeah, Dalton had a nice, easy little jumper there, and then was able to get the rebound. Nice hustle on his part.
Right.
Tried to lay it up off the glass, and maybe got a little frustrated and went over the back there.
And I believe, was that a 3rd foul on Dalton Floyd?
Yeah, we've got him for 3 here. Our unofficial score has him for 3.
Okay. Doing a wonderful job for us over there. I hope you're paying her in, I don't know, ice cream and cookies or something.
Well, that's funny. Rick Phillips, our wonderful producer here, said, are you paying her? And I said, well, I pay her dearly every day.
Yeah. Love and affection, I'm sure.
That's true.
Ball's turned over to the Astros. Clyde Snow brings the ball up the court as Scott Strieber, the head coach of the Astros, calls out the play. Astro returns it to Dalton Floyd. There's a cut underneath to Jared Huff, and then Levi Luttrell gets the ball, returns it to Jared Huff near the top of the key. Back to Johnny Blair, who's going to take a 1-dribble drive. A nice shot over top, which gives us a rebound by the Adena Warriors to number 3, Jonathan Thomas. Number 21 gets the ball at the top of the key. Christian Hooks turns the ball to number 5, Ethan Shepard. Ball tries to get laid in. Levi Luttrell stops and grabs the ball to Dalton Floyd. He swings it out wide. Dalton Floyd sees that the defense collapses into the lane, brings the ball back up to Johnny Blair. Johnny Blair looking to drive the lane. Quick turn and a pop. 2-point basket by Johnny Blair, bringing it to 37-34 Astros.
Nice turn and hook shot that time by Blair, and he's another one that has a very nice shot on him. Just a sophomore, fine basketball player for this Astro team.
Absolutely, and it's good to see him having success. Johnny's had a unique year, working through some things. Some things happened in his personal life, loss of a loved one there, and I know it's good to see him succeeding on the court. Nice shot there by number 1, Colin Corey.
Yeah, I have to comment on Johnny as well. And a young man I've known for quite some time, played football for me as a youngster, and knew his mom very well. And unfortunately, she passed earlier this season. So to be able to handle that as a young man, from a single-parent family, his mom was his rock in his life. And, for him to lose her at such a young age, it has to be terribly traumatic. But he's held himself well. I think this basketball team means everything to him, and he's just laid it all out there. Gives 100% every time he steps on the court.
Yeah, I think that was shown there in the last exchange where he got his own rebound, turned around, went up again, and scored a quick 2 points. Defense collapses on Dalton Floyd. He twists and turns, but unfortunately is stripped by number 4, Hunter Miller. Drives the ball to the other end, and Levi Luttrell picking up another foul. I believe that's either 3 or 4 on Levi Luttrell, and they'll send him, number 4, Miller, to the line. Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder that Charlie's Place is always a sponsor of the East Clinton Sports Channel. Visit them in Sabina for their great menu of subs, sandwiches, pizza. Charlie's Place.
Yeah, that was number 3 on Levi Luttrell. He's coming out of the game along with Dalton Floyd. Coming back into the game is Cole Floyd and Caleb Kaplinger for the Astros, and number 40, Isaac Thomas, checking back in for the Warriors.
Also, as a reminder, tomorrow, watch at Charlie's Place. We're going to have a live broadcast with Lee Henley and special co-host Steve Sedini, which is a varsity football coach and middle school teacher here at East Clinton. He'll be our and we'll have a special guest, Coach Scott Strieber of the EC Boys Varsity Basketball and Coach Steve Gerber of the Varsity Girls Program.
That three-pointer was knocked down by Jonathan Thomas for the Warriors. Gives him 13 points on the night.
Johnny Blair with a tie-up, which is going to keep the ball down here to the Astros. A good heads-up, quick effort play by Johnny Blair. Brings the ball back to the Astros after he went for the shot, had a rebound that was grabbed by Adena. Quick hustle gave the ball back to the Astros there. Clyde Snow swings around the key, gets the ball at the three-point line, decides to drive in. Unfortunately, turns the ball over to the Adena Warriors, number 3. That's Jonathan Thomas, drives the ball hard. Looks like he's going to be called. Well, it looks like he's going to get the foul called on him. He's also going to drop that point, making it a 43-39 game.
That foul on Johnny Blair. And, Jonathan Thomas starting to take this game over now. And I think Coach Strieber's seeing that. East Clinton's now falling behind by 4, and they just don't have any momentum at all as we've went into the second half.
Looks like they're honestly a little tired. Adena seems to still be putting the pedal to the metal, and the Astros can't match them with intensity right now. Johnny Blair's trying to spark them just a little bit, but it looks like they're going to have to reach down a little deeper and figure out how to match them with effort level going back to the other end of the court, especially on defense. Ladies and gentlemen, you can text your comments to 937-527-2725. That's 937-527-2725. So quickly, Jeremy, I can share you this story. I was coaching varsity football for North College Hill High School, and we were the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. Chillicothe Zane Trace was the number 8 seed. They came to our house. They had a lot of players, and we had only about 23. They all came out in the, if you've ever seen the movie The Program, how Latimer paints his face in the black and white skull looking, and every one of the players had it, and they had one particular player that seemed to be more exuberant than the rest, and he was leading all the cheers and leading all this. Really made a spectacle of the pregame. We kind of kept our composure, kept over to the side, ended up beating 48-10. So, I mean, it was just one of those things where it was a whole lot of air, not a lot to back it up. I don't know. To this day, whenever I hear Chillicothe Zane Trace, I can't help but think of those players coming out in that black and white makeup and then it just not turning out well for them.
What a basket by Thomas there. And that young man, that's one that you said that he kind of stuck out as maybe someone that could take over this game, and he certainly has here in the second half. Unfortunately, he picks up the blocking foul here on this end.
Jared Huff with 2 shots as he goes to the lane. He was blocked by number 3, Jonathan Thomas. After that amazing shot, again, that fundamental basketball seemed to come into play here because
Jared Huff, 2 shots.
Because there was 2 or 3 passes there that weren't easy passes to make, but it covered the length of the floor in about 2 to 3 passes, and then a great up and under shot there by Thomas.
Thomas now leading all scorers with 17 points. Ooh. So having a wonderful second half. Had 8 at halftime. He's got 9 here in the second half real quick. So he's been the whole difference. His 9 points here in the second half have helped this Adena team out to a 5-point lead now as Jared Huff hits the first free throw there.
That makes it a 45-40 game. East Clinton Astros down by 5 points, 2 minutes and 37 seconds left in your third quarter. Clyde Snow calls out his defense after the shot is missed by Jared Huff, rebound by Adena. Jared Huff returns back to the other end of the court to play defense on number 3, Thomas. Number 4, Hunter Miller, goes for a 3-point shot, misses it. Kaplinger pushes the ball up the court to Jared Huff, who's going to get the ball stripped from by Hunter Miller. The ball goes out of bounds by Hunter Miller, and then it's going to be turned over to the Astros.
Yeah, good hustle that time by Hunter Miller. He was able to get back and stop that, what could have been an easy layup for the Astros.
Johnny Blair puts up a shot up and over a defender. Ball's returned to Cole Floyd. He kicks it out to Clyde Snow with an easy a quick 2-point shot, but he misses that. Caleb Kaplinger tries to drive the lane. Call's going to be a foul on the floor on Caleb Kaplinger, number 2, Austin Preston by the Adena Warriors.
And Matt, when we get a chance here, I'll also share a Zane Trace football story with you, and it relates to East Clinton here. And some of you out there that may be watching or listening, you may remember East Clinton also played Zane Trace in playoffs here in 2004 at East Clinton High School. So I'll share that with you here in a little bit.
Sounds good. Shot by number 2, Preston, misses. Ball's returned up the court by Cole Floyd. He drives the lane but gets blocked. Johnny Blair, 3-point shot from behind the arc. Jared Huff tries a 2-pointer but misses the shot from up and under. Hunter Miller fakes the shot out, or fakes the pass, and then goes for the shot, bouncing it off the backboard for a 47-40 score.
Yeah, and as we commented earlier in the first half, it looked like both teams had the ability to go on runs, and we're certainly seeing one here from Adena. It's opened up this 7-point lead, and it doesn't seem like that long ago East Clinton had an 8-point lead, so the tide has definitely turned, and East Clinton's definitely in some trouble here, and they need to start playing some better defense. They got to start getting some shots to fall.
Yeah, what concerned me there in the first half is it seemed like the Astros were making a few shots that normally don't fall for them, and then all of a sudden we're going to depend on those in the second half. And again, Thomas, right down the middle. They're running that 4 corners, very easy dribble drive, nothing complicated. They're patient. They're waiting until they see something. Partial block there by number 4, Miller, and the ball goes out of bounds, returned to the Astros.
And Thomas now with 19 points, leading all scorers, having a wonderful second half. A great game for that young man. Checking back into the game for Adena is number 5, Ethan Shepard. He's a 6'1" senior. East Clinton will be inbounding the ball. Cole Floyd finds Johnny Blair.
Oh, called for the travel. Johnny Blair's called for the travel. Would have been a 2-point shot, breaking the lead down to 7, but the ball's turned over to the Adena Warriors with a 9-point lead, 49-40. Not sure if I saw the travel there. Did you?
I really wasn't looking at the feet, and that's a tough one to call right there when you're the lead official on the baseline and the player is right up on you. Usually you see the traveling call come from an official nice steal here by Clyde Snow and a pull-up jumper that just won't fall for Clyde. And he's not having a typical Clyde Snow night.
Jared Huff puts the ball up off of the rebound, scores, and gets the foul called, so he's going for the old-fashioned three-point play.
Yeah, and I'll finish that comment about the traveling call. It's hard to call when you're standing right next to the players because you don't see the feet, and it's hard to.
True.
You're kind of judging the movement of the upper body on whether he traveled or not. And I don't know that he did. I really wasn't paying attention to the feet, but that call might have been better made by either the trail or the lead official.
Jared Huff trying to give a little spark here, playing defense on the leading scorer of the ball game. That's Jonathan Thomas. He shoots a three-point shot.
He is just getting it to fall tonight, isn't he? 22 points for Jonathan Thomas, and they've opened up a 9-point lead here over the Astros, and they just didn't have an answer for Thomas there in that quarter as he knocked down 14 points in the third quarter.
I'll tell you what, and not only that last shot in particular, Caleb Kaplinger could not have played better defense. He was in his hip pocket.
No,
literally.
Isaac Thomas set a wonderful screen on Jarrett Huff there, and Kaplinger, like you said, give him credit. He came off of that and noticed that that Thomas was going to take the open three, stepped out there and put a hand right in his face, and he nailed the 22-footer. As the quarter expired. So, how do you stop a kid that has 14 points in the third quarter?
I don't know. I'm sure Coach Strieber is talking about that right now. I don't know if you change your defense a little bit, if you put a different person on him. While we have a break in the action, if you like the East Clinton Sports Channel and you're happy with what we're doing here at East Clinton and you'd like to contribute to our athletic program, please contact AD Jim Marsh at 937-584-7450. Again, being a little biased, I'm going to tell you Jim Marsh is one of the best athletic directors, if not the best, that I've seen work here at the high school level. Because of his extensive collegiate experience, he knows how to run a nice, tight ship.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. And you know what? Whatever Coach Strieber said there in the huddle there in between the third and fourth quarter here, hopefully it wakes this team up because what was a 2-point East Clinton halftime lead is now a 9-point deficit as we head to the final period.
As we start the fourth quarter, just a reminder for all your pizza sub and just an overall terrific menu, visit Charlie's Place in Sabina. Foul's going to be called on Caleb Kaplinger, push foul. He's going to give 2 shots to number 4, Hunter Miller.
And that's Caleb's third on the game. So East Clinton now with a few guys with 3 fouls. So that's something else that Coach Strieber has to be concerned about as we finish out this game. You know, they're now down by 10, and he's got some guys that are getting close to being in foul trouble.
Looks like 7 fouls for the Astro as 4 for the Adena Warriors. Number 30, Caleb Kaplinger, gets the rebound, pushes out to Clyde Snow, who brings the ball up the court, pass to Johnny Blair in the corner. Clyde Snow is going to get the ball back and kind of reset the offense here. Looking for a little spark, trying to find where we can crease the paint maybe. Clyde Snow with a quick shot across the paint, goes and tries to drive the lane.
That is a charge.
Okay,
yes, good call by Phil Loudon.
That's definitely
there.
a charge.
Nice defensive play by Caleb Kaplinger.
Yeah. Jonathan Thomas, who, as you said, couldn't be stopped in the third quarter, is going to be stopped there on the foul call.
That's Thomas's third as well, so that has to be concerning for Coach Smith. And Clyde Snow brings the ball up the court, and there's a young man that it kind of been silent tonight. And I think that's one reason why East Clinton may be struggling. You know, usually you can count on almost 10 points a night from Clyde. He's got 2 points to this point and just hasn't been able to get into rhythm in this game.
A shot missed by Johnny Blair from underneath. Again, one that he usually makes. Misses that one and brings the ball, Jared Huff, up the court to Clyde Snow, but the ball's turned over. Ball is partially blocked by Jared Huff as Thomas goes up for the score but misses on the back of the rim. He'll get 2 shots.
Number 21, Jared Huff, his first.
As cliche as this sounds, it seems like a top has went on the basket at the Astros.
It definitely does. You know, East Clinton not being able to get much going at any point in the second half. They just can't find that rhythm. They're not moving the ball like they were early in the game and not taking good shots like they were, and they're definitely not getting them to fall.
One of my biggest concerns, as I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, was those rust shots, and it seems like in the third and fourth quarter, we've seen rushed shots.
Yeah, definitely. And 24 points now for Thomas. So I'd hate to say it this early, but he's definitely got to be up for the player of the game if we have one.
Yeah.
But he's having quite a game.
If we have such an award, he would definitely get it.
A nice assist there for Thomas that time.
Streber calls the timeout with the lead increased to 14 points by the Adena Warriors. I'm not sure Scott Streber has an answer yet to this transition basketball that Adena's putting on the Astros right now.
No, I have to agree with you, Matt. I don't know what the answer is. He's tried shuffling his lineup a little bit, and just doesn't seem like anything's working out well for East Clinton. And Adena is really just taking this game over, led by Thomas, of course, but they're playing some really good basketball for this young team.
Okay, I'll remind you, what is your Chillicothe Zane Trace football story?
I don't want to say that Zane Trace is full of hot air. They certainly got a wonderful athletic department down there. I've done a lot of basketball games and followed their football team, but it was just kind of funny how you mentioned that and what happened and took place. But in 2004, first round of the Ohio High School Athletic Association playoffs here in Lees Creek, East Clinton was 9-1, finished as the number 3 seed, and Zane Trace was 9-1 as well and finished as the number 6 seed. So they come up here to play us, and they had a young man, Anthony Hitchens, who was no doubt a wonderful athlete, was a freshman and had over 1,500 yards rushing that season.
Wow, that is impressive.
And I know some people down there and are like, well, this kid, he can't be stopped. And East Clinton had a defense that year that was just unbelievable. And I said, this kid, I don't care how good he is, no freshman's going to run on this defense. Moral of the story is East Clinton went on to win 52-7, and I think Hitchens had about 30 yards on about 30 carries. But it's just a funny story that I remembered, as you brought up yours.
Absolutely. No, we mean no disrespect to Chillicothe Zane Trace at all. I mean, they're a great football program. They're a great program in general. It just seems like every school's got their funny stories. I'm sure there's a few out there about the Astros, a time or two where they've done something a little funny, a little foolish, maybe even. But those just happen to be the two that we remember from Zane Trace.
Yeah, and not to take anything away from Hitchens, he was a wonderful athlete. After his freshman year at Zane Trace, he transferred to Chillicothe High School. He was a better basketball player than he was a football player. Led Chillicothe to that state title I'd mentioned as a junior. He was their starting point guard. He went on to play at the University of Akron as well, so D1 talent.
He was a zip.
Yes, he was a zip.
Yeah. If there's one, my son's a big basketball guy, and we've kind of jokingly said different thoughts and different ideas of if he were to earn a scholarship. There's a few places I would be concerned about him playing for. The Santa Clara Banana Slugs would be up there. And I'm not sure I want him to be an Akron Zip anytime soon. So other than that, I think we'll make exceptions if they're willing to pay some money, though.
Oh, yeah. Hard to turn down that scholarship money,
free money
anywhere,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
then again, I guess we're the Astros.
That's
and we
unusual.
shouldn't have anything to say about anybody else's name.
No, that is an unusual name. Of course, the Houston Astros and East Clinton Astros, those are the only Astros I know, but I can think of a few others. Tarpon Springs High School in Florida is the Spongers.
The Spongers.
The Sponge Dock there in Tarpon, and their nickname is the Spongers. And of course, there's some other funny ones. The UC Irvine, the Anteaters.
Anteaters,
there's a lot of funny nicknames out there.
Absolutely. We're just one of those where we might not be funny. We're just mysterious. Nobody really knows exactly what we are or what we stand for. A block quickly by Caleb Kaplinger. He gets the ball, tries to return it into the front court to Dalton Floyd. Dalton Floyd, see.
Dalton trying to state his case there to Phil Loudon that he didn't double dribble, but Phil had him for a dribble, and Coach Smith certainly was on that call as well for Adena.
Lead's been cut down here to 11 by the Astros, 57-46. Full court pressure being put on by the Astros. Ball's brought into the middle of the court, turned over, picked up by Dalton Floyd. He's going to take the ball all the way to the hoop for a quick score. Setting up in their defense, full court pressure again by the East Clinton Astros. Ball's brought up the court to Shepard. Number 3, Jonathan Thomas gives it over to Colin Corey. Back to Thomas. The number 4, Hunter Miller. Cole Floyd, nice defense by Cole Floyd there. Ball's almost turned over by Thomas. Another dribble drive by Colin Corey. Number 4, Hunter Miller. makes a nice move, but misses the shot where Wyatt Shanton dumps it back in, the 6'2 freshman. Caleb Kaplinger drives the ball, kicks it out to Clyde Snow.
Excellent picks at that time by Caleb Kaplinger, but to no avail. East Clinton not being able to get the shot to fall. Now it's starting to become a sloppy game a little bit. We haven't seen too much of this. We've seen some turnovers, but nothing like we've seen here in the last minute or so.
Johnny Blair puts a three-point shot up. Adena has the position.
Coach Smith there able to
Jason
get a quick
Smith,
timeout.
Yep, calls for a quick timeout with the ball in the corner. And Adena's starting to get rattled just a little bit. Still 11-point lead for him, but balls are getting turned over. Like you said, a little bit more sloppy play by both teams at this point.
Yeah, and Dalton Floyd's having a nice game himself. He's got 17 points now for the Astros. Doesn't really seem like it as they've fallen so far behind, but that last time he was able to get that steal and get a nice lay-in as he was defended off the basket. And like you said, he uses that glass very well, and just a smooth basketball player, plays the game really well, both ends of the court.
You know, just a quick show there by Tony Seeger. I mentioned it before on the broadcast. Unbelievable athlete. Unbelievable athlete. You got to see him, just the flips and the turns. Honestly, if you haven't seen him real life, he's worth the trip up here to Lee's Creek. I can honestly tell you that. He'll go 4 or 5 times in a game from one end of the court to the other, flipping, twisting, doing things that I don't even think I can do in my mind without getting hurt.
Right, yeah. You know, and you mentioned Tony is a senior here at East Clinton and a cheerleader, and what a wonderful young man. I had the opportunity, of course, to interview him there at halftime, and you can just see the excitement that he has about being a part of the squad that he's a part of, and the joy that he takes in it, and the pride, and what it means to him to be there and to be able to qualify for nationals and go on that trip that those cheerleaders are going to take.
I mean, think about this. A building of around 400 kids is now in the national championship for cheerleading, competition cheerleading, whereas a team didn't exist here at one point and for many years never existed. Now we're at the national championship level. That's just really impressive for both Coach Heather Miller and Coach Amy, but just for those young men or that young man and those young ladies. Ball out to Hunter Miller, shoots off the front of the iron. Shanton brings the ball back up, and he is fouled. Nice tough play by the 6'2 freshman.
Yeah, he mentioned a 6'2 freshman. He just doesn't look like a freshman, doesn't play like a freshman. He's a nice inside force for this Warrior team that really doesn't have like a true big man per se.
Right.
But he gives them a big body and a big presence in that lane.
More than likely, we'll keep them as a non-conference opponent. I can honestly say I'm a little interested to see this guy in a couple of years.
Oh, definitely. See him progress and just how the rest of this team is going to progress, because they got a nice young ball team. Quite impressed with them.
Looks like number 5, Ethan Shepard, is a senior. We haven't seen number 23, Shad Daly. That's the only seniors they have on the roster. They're going to be able to move forward very quickly into next year with a high level of expectation. Caleb Kaplinger's blocked by number 4, Hunter Miller. Thomas brings the ball out and kicks it out to number 1, Colin Corey. Number 40, Isaac Thomas gets into the scoring. Sophomore, 5'11", puts a 2-point bucket down. The Astros. Clyde takes a quick 3-point shot, 63-48 for Adena Warriors. And again, we're starting to see rush shots from the Astros.
Yeah, and as I've said before, Clyde just can't get it to fall. You play 22 games throughout the course of the season before you even get to the tournaments. Not every night's going to be your night. You're going to have those nights where you're off, and usually that's a basket that Clyde can make.
Right. Dalton Floyd causes a second turnover. First turnover bounced off Johnny Blair's chest and then right back to a Adena Warrior player.
And that says a lot about Dalton Floyd and the type of character. We talked about his character earlier, but type of player that he is. They're down 15. It's easy for him to be a senior and be frustrated and how things are going, but he's still hustling. He's still giving 100% effort. And, that also says a lot about Coach Strieber and his effort with this team. I mean, they've not let up. They just haven't played as well in the second half, but they've not let up at any case. Adena going to the stall a little bit here, realizing that this 15-point lead with just a little over 2 minutes to go, if they can melt some of this clock, it's definitely going to help them out because it would take almost a miracle run at this point for East Clinton to be able to come back.
2-point basket by Isaac Thomas puts the lead 65-48. Ball's kicked out to the corner. Jarrett Huff with a 3-point shot. and the foul.
3-1 basket.
So that's going to turn into a 4-point opportunity.
Nice shot there by Huff, able to, take that Clyde Snow pass in the corner and hit that big three as he's getting fouled by number 40, Isaac Thomas.
40. Isaac Thomas is 5th.
And that'll be Thomas's 5th foul of the game, so he'll foul out now.
I think this is the first time all year I've seen a player foul out for the game.
First that I've seen for sure. Thomas fouling out of the game. He's got 4 points on the night. He's the 5'11" sophomore. Another one of those fine young players for the Warriors. Huff going to the line trying to convert this 4-point play.
Ball bounces in and out. Dalton Floyd gets the ball, rebounding. Ball's going to come back to White. The Astros with a 65-51 deficit. 14 points down with a minute and 50 seconds left. Dalton Floyd goes hard to the floor, does get up. Ball's given to Cole Floyd as he drives the lane. Nice 2-point shot, but it goes off the back of the rim. Number 4, Miller gets it out to number 3, Thomas, who then is going to try to, like you said, put the stall on just a little bit. Oh, no, the ball goes to an easy shot by Shanton. We just lost a Warrior at some point there. We lost him in transition.
Yeah, East Clinton definitely just having their struggles, as this second half continues. Coach Strieber getting a quick timeout there after the bucket by Dalton Floyd. It's 19 points now in the game for Dalton Floyd, but to no avail. East Clinton trails with a minute 23 to go, 67-53.
So Coach Strieber is going to look at this tape. What is he going to say about the second half performance?
Well, it's obviously disappointing. I think that's obvious to state that, but I don't know that at the first 10 minutes it seemed like they were getting good shots. They were moving the ball. They were patient. Yeah. And then, as you said, there's just times where they rush things and they just don't move the ball as well, and I think that's a lot of it. And I think you have to give a lot of credit to Adena in the second half. They just came out on fire. Whatever Coach Smith said to them, and the play of Jonathan Thomas, the 6 foot tall sophomore, it has been just phenomenal in the second half, and East Clinton's had no answer for him.
It almost seems like when East Clinton gets up by a few, or maybe even down by a few, they ought to go into the Normandale Hoosiers mentality of nothing until 4 passes. Because I think the quicker they take shots, usually they struggle to get those balls to go down for them.
I agree.
Clyde Snow's driving the ball to Dalton Floyd. Dalton Floyd goes underneath with an up and under move and misses, but Johnny Blair is going to be fouled underneath the basket.
Yeah, nice reverse layup there that time by Dalton Floyd, but got it trapped a little too far under the backboard, it looked like. Yeah. Wasn't able to get it to go.
67-53 lead by the Adena Warriors. Johnny Blair puts the first one down, making it 67-54.
7 points now on the night for Jonathan Blair, the sophomore.
It seems like earlier in the year, Johnny seemed to be breaking into double digits a little more often than he has lately. I don't know if that's a playing time issue, if that's a concern about his shot selection, but and maybe just a role change. He seems to be handling the ball a little more, taking over the point guard role for Clyde Snow at some point in the game, so maybe his job is not to score as much as it is to run the offense.
Well, that could be. He's averaging 8.5 points a game on the season, which is, a nice contribution for a sophomore. But you could be right. He's asked to do a little bit more. He is one of the taller guys on the court, so he's playing down on the post a lot, trying to defend the other team's big man sometimes, and for whatever reason, just not getting as many scoring opportunities, like you said, as he was earlier in the year.
Also a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that tomorrow at Charlie's Place we'll have a live show with Lee Henley and special co-host Steve Sedini, as well as our special guest, Coach Scott Strieber of the East Clinton Boys Varsity Basketball and Coach Steve Gerber of the Varsity Girls Program. Balls put into full court pressure by the Astros. Number 1, Colin Corey, brings the ball to the far side where a trap gets put on him, but the ball's cross-court pass to number 5, Ethan Shepard. Almost stolen by Levi Luttrell.
Adena doing a nice job ball movement. We commented on that like the first few minutes into the game, and now when it's the final minute of the game, they're showing their ball movement skills. And like you said, it's like a clone. You take one good athlete and you just make 4 more of them, and you put them out there on the court, and all these young men here can handle that ball very well.
I would say that if they happen to grow a little bit in height, if they've carbon copied it correctly, if the formula is just right, and then each one of these guys can put on about 1 to 2 inches each, this team, I'm telling you, might have a nice little run in them over the next 2 years.
Yeah, they may, and checking in for Adena now is number 2, Austin Preston. He's a 6 foot tall freshman as well. So it's amazing, the freshmen and the sophomores, they just keep running out there.
Yeah, to have 2 freshmen on your roster and both of them see time on the court one significant amount of time. The foul's there on Adena against number 20, Dalton.
Warriors foul, number 4, Colin Corey, third.
12 seconds left in the ball game. East Clinton Astros down by 13, 68-55 to the Adena Warriors. As much as we said about the SCOL being a tough league, apparently the Scioto Valley League has prepared Adena to go outside of their league and really put a different type of game on East Clinton compared to what they're used to.
Right, and like I said, officiating in that conference for about 12 years, I was able to see top to bottom that is a good conference, and those people down in there in Ross County and that Chillicothe area take pride in basketball, and those gyms are packed, and this Adena team's been historically one of the cellar dwellers, I guess, so to speak. A team that's not really always that good in basketball, but this young team here that really just put a 13-point win over the Astros on the board, they're going to be a good basketball team, I think, going forward this year, but definitely the next couple years. This is going to be a team to be reckoned with in Scioto Valley Conference.
I couldn't agree more. I don't know the competition level like you do, but I'm telling you, they came in here and the second half literally imposed their will, ran their game, ran exactly like they wanted to do. Obviously Jonathan Thomas had a nice second half and really put the game on his shoulders in the third quarter. But still, I think overall the balance is still there. One guy can have a bad night and the rest of the team can kind of make up for it. And I'm telling you, that's going to be a good basketball team. They already are, but even a better team over the next 2 years.
Yeah, without a doubt. Coach Strieber has to be disappointed. I mean, this was a game at halftime. Excuse me. They were up by 8 there with about 2 minutes to go before the half, and same things seemed to be in control. I mean, it looked like at any time Adena could go on a run. That was the feeling that I got, and certainly they showed us that they did in the second half. But, with the 2-point lead, whatever Coach Strieber said and whatever Coach Smith said, Adena players listened to it a little bit harder, it seems. They took it to heart a little bit more because in the second half they owned it and it was their half. Thomas was phenomenal. They moved the ball well. They played good defense. They really pressured East Clinton into taking shots that just weren't good shots, turnovers. That sums up the whole game. Just the second half performance by the Warriors.
I think you just said it best. It was rushed shots in the second half, which is something we've seen out of the Astros quite a few games, whether up or down. It seems like we get into a habit of, moving shots quickly up the court. Again, maybe it's that question of committal to the transition game or not. Are you willing to change your offense when you're up by a few? That's something that Coach Strieber has to, decide amongst him and his coaching staff and kind of buy into it full tilt.
Yeah, definitely. It's frustrating. Coach, as I talked to him before the game, he felt upbeat that this is a game they could win, stepping out of league play. They've been successful out of the conference this year, and hopefully this is something that they can learn from. They can watch the film and they can progress. I've always said as a coach, if you can learn from your mistakes, losing's no fun. No one wants to do it or go through it. But if it makes you better going forward, there's some success to it.
Absolutely.
So, hopefully this is something that they can learn from. I mean, it was a game that they did things well, and then they didn't do things well. It's a game that they had in control, and then they let get out of control. So wherever that fault lies, I'm sure Coach Strieber will, he'll be watching that film tonight, I guarantee you, and as any good coach would, and just trying to find the problems and what do we got to fix tomorrow.
Yeah, the benefit of him being a business owner, he has his own business in Wilmington, Strieber Mortgage. is he stays up after game days. He says I've talked to him till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, just watching that film over and over and over again, trying to see where they can get better, where their faults lie, like you said. And I think there's going to be some frustration in watching this film. I think he saw some great things in the first quarter, some good things in the second quarter, and a lot of concerns in the third and fourth quarter.
Right. He did make mention that he said his kids do play hard and give good effort all the time. They just don't put a complete 4 quarters together, and tonight was proof of that.
Right.
They had a good first 10 minutes, and really that you started to see it unravel a little bit with about 2 minutes to go before the half. They were up by 8, and then all of a sudden that 8-point lead shrunk to 2, and then the second half the wheels just fell off. So it's disappointing, but there's still a lot of bright spots for this East Clinton team. I think that they can progress and move forward, and hopefully come tournament time they're a force to be reckoned with in that Southwest District.
And Jeremy, as you're putting a few stats for us together, I'm going to give the viewers and the listening audience a little bit of information about one of our sponsors, Charlie's Place, home of the Astro Burger. Great pizzas there as well, specialty pizzas starting at $10.50 up to $17.50. Go see Charlie's Place. Great food, great atmosphere, big East Clinton supporter. You can see kind of a memorial wall to East Clinton Athletics. We'd like to thank Jim Marsh for the donations to that wall, and Charlie's Place for displaying those and being such a supporter here of the East Clinton Sports Channel. Also, if you have comments still, feel free to send those in, 937-527-2725. Over the last couple games, we'd love to get more viewers, more listeners involved, so please feel free to text that number. Give us your comments, give us your concerns, your compliments. We'll be glad to pass it on to the viewing audience. Also, if you're happy with your East Clinton Athletic channel, then please feel free to contact AD Jim Marsh at 937-584-7450 for a possible donation or sponsorship to the East Clinton Athletic channel. Tomorrow, be sure to watch at Charlie's Place a live broadcast with Lee Henley and special co-host Steve Sedini, as we will have special guest Coach Scott Strieber of the EC Boys Varsity Basketball and Coach Steve Gerber of the Varsity Girls program. And Lee Henley will give a special shout-out to all EC alumni. So, Jeremy, if you'd like to take over and give the viewing audience a few of our game statistics.
Well, it was definitely a tale of two halves. Like we mentioned, East Clinton had a 2-point lead at half. Well, the second half was Adena 37-22. A huge scoring onslaught in the second half that and was propelled by the sophomore Jonathan Thomas, who had a remarkable game, led all scorers with 24 points. But, you look at this Adena team, and we kept going over it and over how young they were, and we're impressed with it. They start a freshman, 2 sophomores, a junior, and a senior. And the sophomore, Jonathan Thomas, 24 points, and then they had 9 points each from Hunter Miller and Ethan Shepard. They had 7 points from Colin Corey. They had 15 points from the freshman, Wyatt Shanton, and 4 points from Isaac Thomas. So, when your 2 leading scorers are a freshman and a sophomore, it's a bright future for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
For East Clinton, leading them in scoring with 20 points was Dalton Floyd. Of course, he had a nice game taking the ball to the glass. He played pretty well. Jarrett Huff had 9 points along with Caleb Kaplinger. And Caleb come out and hit those quick 3 threes right off the get-go, and then after that was scoreless the rest of the game. So Adena did a good job of shutting him down. Also in the scoring column for East Clinton was Cole Floyd with 6. And 2 points from both Levi Lettrell and Clyde Snow. And that's the one that like I mentioned, Clyde just wasn't there tonight. It wasn't his game. And when you're missing your second leading scorer, in essence, it was on the floor and certainly played hard. Clyde always plays hard because he plays with a lot of heart. But, when he's not in the scoring column for you during the course of a night, it makes it tough. It makes it tough for you to be able to win when you're playing a formidable opponent, a team that's very similar to you.
Right. And very fundamentally sound.
They played a fundamentally sound game. You got to give Coach Jason Smith a lot of credit. They good basketball team, and this team's going to make some waves in the Scioto Valley Conference. They're going to make some waves in the Southeast District in the playoffs, or come tournament time. And like you said, we keep them on our schedule the next few years. We're going to have a great non-conference foe for the next few years.
Yeah, that'll be a great challenge for us going into that tournament play, like you said. To see a team like this that we know we would get into if we're 2 or 3 rounds deep into that tournament. This is going to be, like you said, an extremely formidable foe for the next couple of years. I'm just really impressed with what they've got coming up. Those freshmen, the sophomores that are contributing big time. It's just it's a good outlook. It's a good future for Coach Smith and athletic director Scott Hurt. Just as a personal note there, how big is Adena? Do we know how big they are?
They're very similar to us. I know they're Division 5 in football. We're
Okay.
D5 in football.
Okay.
I mean, I would guess that there's not a lot of difference one way or the other in the number of boys. We're almost two mirrored images of each other as far as size goes. And, they're a country school outside of Chillicothe. We're a country school outside of Wilmington. So both schools are very identical to each other.
That's interesting because, like you said, maybe that's somebody that's a good litmus test for us to be able to see what we're going to expect in some of those deeper tournament games, especially if we can take on somebody that we know is going to have some success at that tournament level and take them down to the wire, take them down to the last minute over the next couple of years. We should be feeling pretty good as we enter that tournament time as well. But I think there's some things that Coach Strever is going to need to fix, some concerns. I'm sure that he sees things that we'll never see or won't be able to see watching the video 2 or 3 different times. But his frustration level, I know at this point, is starting to gain a little momentum, a little volume to that echo. So we'll see what he tells his players today. I'm impressed with him in the way that he handles the young men. Being the East Clinton principal, I'm always concerned about our young men, not only as far as how they're playing, but how they're treated by coaches, officials, our athletic director, myself included. We're always concerned about those things. So, I like the way he handles the kids, but I'm sure at some point he's going to start doing things a little bit different than what's got him to this 6-8 record at this point.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And I've known Scott for quite some time, and he's a class act, and he'll get this program into the right direction. I mean, you already see strides, and this is a young team as well. We talk about Adena being young, but East Clinton's also equally as young.
Yeah. We're going to go down, and Jeremy's going to take a moment to speak to the head coach of the Adena Warriors, Jason Smith. Very successful win this evening. Adena coming down for a 2-point deficit at halftime to have a great comeback win with a final score of 68-55. The Adena Warriors, led by sophomore Jonathan Thomas with 24 points, and freshman Wyatt Shanton with 15 points. We'd like to turn it over to Jeremy Yankey and Coach Smith.
Coach Jeremy Yankey with GTVR.net. We cover all the East Clinton basketball games here. But coming into this game, it's a non-league foe. We don't know a whole lot about your program. I had the opportunity to speak to your AD at halftime. He kind of filled us in a little bit. But I know that your Scioto Valley Conference, which is historically, I know, has always been a great basketball conference. But, you're about the same type of school as East Clinton. We looked on paper. You guys are both about the same. You both are young teams, have a couple of seniors on there, but really count on the younger kids. But you had an outstanding performance tonight by 2 young men. You were led in scoring by Thomas with 24, and then Shanton had 15. So it's a bright future for your program. But one thing that we talked about was how well you guys move the ball.
Yeah. Well, that's new for us. When you have a big kid, we're not used to playing with Wyatt yet because we haven't had a lot of size in the program. So having a kid in the middle that can do something with the basketball when he catches it's kind of new to us. So actually we just went to the 4-out, 1-in about 3 games ago, and we were trying to do a 3-out, 2-in, and things were getting cluttered. He didn't have room. So we just went to a 4-out, 1-in. So this ball movement thing's kind of new for us. But we put an emphasis on not as much the movement, but when we attack, we want to go somewhere. We want to make 2 people guard 1 as much as we can. That makes the reverse easier, and it makes it, getting the ball to the post easier. So this is new to us. I'm glad we moved the ball well tonight, but it's a work in progress right now.
Yeah, and we also talked about your defense too. I mean, it seemed like throughout the whole game there was 100% effort, max effort, and you're putting a lot of pressure on the ball for East Clinton that they really didn't handle too well tonight. Usually they have a little bit better ball control, but your defense they couldn't get an answer to it, especially as the game wore on and into the second half.
Well, I don't know about that first quarter.
No.
I didn't think we were guarding the basketball at all in the first quarter, but you're right. From the second quarter on, it's effort. With a young team, effort makes up for a lot of flaws and a lot of mistakes. If you're diving on the floor for loose balls, hitting bodies when shots go up, effort eases a lot of troubles. And I thought you're exactly right. From the second quarter on, I felt like we played with great effort. And I can take the mistakes that we made if we're playing with great effort. It's the mistakes where we're timid that really bother me. I'm very pleased with the effort we put forward.
Well, Coach, good luck to you the rest of the year in the Scioto Valley Conference and come tournament time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jeremy, for that interview with Coach Smith. Nice win by Coach Smith and the Adena Warriors, coming from a 2-point deficit at halftime to win 68-55, a 13-point victory for the Adena Warriors. Having struggled in Scioto Valley Conference play up to this point, I'm sure this is a nice win for them going back into conference play, and something that they're going to be able to kind of build upon. And I heard him say that he has just changed, and we had mentioned this, to that 4-out, 1-in, which opened up the spacing, opened up the ball movement. The dribble drive was there as well. I think if he hadn't found that offense, he's definitely got his offense now.
Well, yeah, for sure. And he, obviously he was very pleased. You could tell he was ecstatic to get the win. And it's a program that's up and coming, and they've been struggling to get wins. Just their 6th of the season tonight. But he's got to be pleased with their effort. He said from the second quarter on, their defensive effort was good. They kind of figured out what they needed to do, and they moved the ball well. And he said that's something they hadn't done until about the past 3 games. But maybe they're hitting their peak. We talked about that, how important it is to hit your peak at the right time, and the game they played tonight, hopefully, they have success going forward, because they got a nice ball team, and you got to give Coach Smith a lot of credit for having such a young team, that they played well, both ends of the court.
Yeah, and I know this doesn't mean a lot to him and to the viewers, but I like this style. We've got to see, just in our few broadcasts, kind of 2 extremes of coaching. The Hillsborough Indian coach, who is, I'm sure is a great guy, and no disrespect intended, very intense, rode the refs. I mentioned during that broadcast, I'm not sure I'd ever seen a coach ride the refs harder than him, and you're used to it much more than I am. But this guy was, he made a comment or two. He wasn't overbearing. He was tough on his players. He was fair, but he was, handshakes and claps as quick as they were on any kind of timeout or on the sideline. And I don't know, as a principal, again, maybe being biased, I'm looking at the whole man rather than just the athlete. And it looks like those young men are being coached well, but they're also being treated well.
And I agree with you 100%, Matt. And I've seen a lot of different coaching styles, and he definitely the one thing I always respected as being both a coach and an official is, the officials are not going to win you the game and lose you the game, and too many coaches get caught up in that. If you're doing your job, what you should be doing, you're worried more about your players than you are the officials and the other team and your surroundings, because that's all you can control, as a coach. So he did a good job of that tonight. His demeanor was good, and of course he's right down here to our right, so we got to really hear and see a lot of his actions. And he looked like his team was well prepared. He coached them well. He communicated with them well. They did things. Whatever he said at halftime worked, because we kind of talked about that.
Clearly.
He did. He's getting through to those young men. And you got to think too, he's dealing with a lot of sophomores and the one good freshman. Getting through to those young men can be tougher than a junior and senior. So give him a lot of credit for the job that he's done with his program, and it looks like he's going to have a bright future there at Adena.
Yeah, no question. I think the future is so bright, as they say in the 80s, he has to wear shades because he's going to have a nice future ahead of him. It looked like he had a good team of good young men that played hard and honestly have bought into whatever he said at the halftime. I mean, maybe we ought to bottle up what he had at halftime and bring it over here to East Clinton and see what it does to our kids, because whatever he said, whatever speech he gave, it definitely worked well.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Coach Strieber, he'll right that ship. Like you said, he's going to be up late tonight watching that, and he's going to be preparing for this tough stretch that they're getting ready to go through. And it's just important for East Clinton to keep competing, and whatever that answer is, I hope Coach Strieber can find it soon with his young men, because like he said, they just can't put together the full 4 quarters. And if they were able to do that tonight, because they were just as talented as Adena,
yes,
it just seemed like Adena just had whatever it took. Led by Thomas, he just kind of put the team there in the third quarter on his back and just carried them to that lead. And it's I don't know. I kind of feel for Coach Strieber. I know he's got to be frustrated, because I know how hard he works and the type of effort and the heart that he puts into it, and his players do as well. And when you're not showing success, man, it makes it that much tougher to try to continue that grind and keep going on. But we'll give you a quick rundown on some of the games that we got coming up. I know we're going to be doing the East Clinton-Massey game next Tuesday, I believe.
Absolutely,
right here from Lee's Creek.
Yeah, Lee Henley just told us that we will be broadcasting the Clinton-Massey game February 4th. We do have a couple things going on that particular evening. We're going to give a bon voyage to our cheerleading competition, cheerleading group there. They're also going to do a halftime performance. Hopefully have some staff members in our pep band throughout the evening, which will be exciting for the kids to see. And then we'll have a great basketball game. These teams just do not like each other. It's that simple.
Well, cross-county rivals, and that's been that way for a long, long time. And whenever you're playing your cross-county foe, and these kids all know each other, and the parents know each other, and I'm sure we're going to have a packed gym here next week, and hopefully East Clinton can right the ship and get a win. And it's a game that they played down at Massey a few weeks back, and was in that game. They kind of didn't put together a complete 4 quarters in that game as well. They got down way too far, but then they made a nice run towards the end of the game and cut it to where they only lost by 7. So Clinton Massey's an opponent that we can beat. I know they've had their struggles here over the last few weeks as well. Hopefully Coach Strieber can get this thing rolling and get a big win this weekend against their opponents, and then beat that county rival.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to sign off here from East Clinton High School. Again, tomorrow join Lee Henley and special guest host Steve Sedini for a broadcast from Charlie's Place with special guest Coach Scott Strieber of the EC Boys Varsity Basketball and Coach Steve Gerber of the Varsity Girls Program. For Jeremy Yankey, this is Matt Baker signing off.